All right. Our 6 p.m. open session, 1518th regular board meeting. And direct your attention to translator services. Prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anybody who needs translator services to Ms. Gladys Duarte at the podium. New face.
Thank you, President Urban. Buenas noches. Habla Gladys Duarte. Si necesitan servicios de interpretación al español, por favor de llamar al 1-805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. Este número es totalmente gratuito. Nuevamente, llama el número de teléfono 1-805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. También puede accesar a estas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web mcs4kids.com. Diríjanse a la parte inferior de la página haciendo quick links y haciendo clic en board agendas para ir a la agenda de esta noche. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Duarte. So welcome. Welcome to the Modesto City Schools regular board meeting of December 16th, 2024. This meeting is now called to order. Our report out from closed session. The board gave direction to staff. Roll call. Trustee Brown.
Present.
Trustee Daly.
Present.
Trustee Lopez.
Present.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Trustee Mejia.
Present.
Vice President Maestas.
Present.
Outgoing President Irvin. Present. Student Board Reps. Ahmad Dagger.
Present.
Student Board Rep Kavari Gupta.
Present.
Let the record reflect we have a quorum. Item A4, moment of silence. Please stand and join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Good evening, everyone. Live stream statement. This open session meeting of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district's website, and the recordings will be available for viewing the day after the board meeting. Regarding public comment, MCS has provided an opportunity for the public to provide comments. It is outlined on the agenda. The public has been given an opportunity to call in and leave a voicemail, send us a comment via email, or appear in person before the board. Any public comments received via email or voicemail following the posting of the board agenda and prior to noon the day of the board meeting will not be read aloud, but have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each board member prior to the start of the board meeting and are available to the public. The voice and email public comments will be attached to a future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we welcome your comments. Public comment statement, Board Bylaw 9322B. If you wish to address the board during the period for public comment on a subject not on the agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card and submit it to the board president prior to the period for public comment. If you need assistance from our translator, please indicate so on the request card. Every person who wishes to address the board, please fill out a card. You will find the cards in the lobby. You can hand your comment card to Ms. Chambers in the back there. Wave your hand, Ms. Chambers. I also want to remind you, if you wish to make a complaint against a specific district employee, you should follow the district's personnel complaint procedure. Copies of that procedure are available in the lobby as our agenda copies, which outline the procedures we will observe during the period for public comment. The right to address the board does not exempt the speaker from any potential liability for defamation. If you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out the card now, as no cards will be accepted after the period for public comment has begun. The maximum time for any one speaker is 3 minutes, for a total of 30 minutes. For those of you requesting translation services, an additional minute will be added to your comment time. Pledge of Allegiance. We are pleased to welcome 2 students from Franklin Elementary School to lead us in the flag salute tonight. Aiden Domingo McGowan. 6th grader Aiden is a top performer in both district and county spelling bees. He has earned reading excellent trophies for the past 2 years and placed 2nd in the school jogathon. Since 2nd grade, Aiden has consistently received Student of the Month awards at Franklin. In his free time, Aiden enjoys playing basketball and soccer and spending time with his family. After high school, Aiden wants to attend University of the Pacific to study law. Yes. His dream is to become a lawyer and a soccer player. Asen Moon, 6th grader, sorry Asen, is a top performer in district and county spelling bees. He also plays the trumpet in the Franklin Music Program. Asen has earned reading excellent trophies for the past 2 years, along with academic medals for reading and music. Since kindergarten, Asen has received Student of the Month awards every year. In his free time, he enjoys baseball, music, and playing video games. After high school, Asen wants to attend UCLA and play on the Bruins baseball team, then become an engineer. Students, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
You stand? Oh, yeah. Okay. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I gave the certificates already. Yeah. It wasn't me. Yes, with that being said, also just like to say, go Navy, beat Army, which they did.
Not on the agenda, John.
Next, we will have our superintendent, Dr. Noguchi, welcome and announcements.
Wonderful. Thank you, President Irvin. Good evening, everyone. You know, as we approach the holiday season, at the end of this week, as you know, the schools will be closed somewhat for 3 weeks. I do want to take just a minute or two to thank everyone that makes Modesto City Schools run the way it runs and make it the destination district that we know it is. From the strong governance team sitting here to cabinet, to all the teachers, the staff, everyone that really makes Modesto City Schools the special place that it is. I hope that each of you guys take full advantage of the winter break or the holiday season. If you celebrate the holiday season, making sure that you take time to relax and to just unwind. And I look forward to seeing everyone when they come back at the new year. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, President Irvin.
Thank you, Dr. Noguchi. Next, we will have our recognitions, and that will be Ms. Sharakina Shams, our Chief Communications Officer.
Thank you. Good evening, President Irvin, Board Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, and of course our family, staff, and community members who are joining us here tonight. So amid the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, it's really a joy to pause tonight and celebrate a little bit. And we're celebrating something truly special, our outstanding students and staff here at Modesto City Schools. So without further delay, we're going to begin our first award of the evening, and that's our Character Education Award. December's character trait of the month is loyalty, and tonight we are celebrating an outstanding scholar, Alexis Lopez, a sixth grader at Kirshen Elementary School, for exemplifying this trait. So come on up, Principal Alberto Lopez Velarde, come on up to the front, along with sixth grade teacher Claudia Valencia, and we'll have you bring Alexis up and say a few words about him, and then we'll take your picture here by the door.
Good evening. It is with great honor to present this month's Character Education Award to Alexis Lopez. Loyalty is about standing by others, staying committed, and consistently doing what's right, even when no one is watching. And Alexis demonstrates this daily in the classroom and outside of the classroom. He is dependable and caring classmate, always willing to lend a hand to peers and supports his teachers and classmates. Alexis' loyalty shines through his actions. His diligent completes his homework and encourages his classmates to stay on task, fostering a positive and supportive learning environment. He treats everyone with respect, students, staff, teachers alike, earning this admiration and trust from all of us. Alexis, your dedication, kindness, and integrity embodies very best of our school values. Thank you for setting such a powerful example and inspiring us and all to be our best and all the students in our classroom. Thank you.
Alexis, you're the prototype student anybody would like to have in the school. Not only you loyal, but you respectful, safe, and responsible. Congratulations.
Alexis, and thank you, Kirshen. Next up is our MCS Hero Award, and tonight we're delighted to present this award to the Parent Engagement and Outreach team. So as I call your names, Parent Engagement and Outreach, I would like each of you to come on up to the front, beginning with Mady Herrera, who is our Director of Parent Engagement and Outreach. Come on up, Mady. Veronica Hernandez, Bilingual Staff Secretary. Patty Munoz, Coordinator of PE&O. As well, Luz Martinez, Coordinator of Special Parent Projects, Community Aide Natasha Hebert, Community Aide Elva Herrera, and Bilingual Community Aide Rudy Gonzalez. So now that you're up here, Associate Superintendent Mark Herbst would like to share a few words about you.
Oh yeah, I could share a lot. Truly honored tonight to recognize the exceptional efforts of our Parent Engagement and Outreach team. Their dedication truly goes well beyond a job description. It reflects their compassion and unwavering commitment to supporting our students and our families. This year, thanks to their hard work and strong community partnerships, we supported 85, yes, I say 85, families with the greatest need at 14 of our school sites through our turkey holiday meal giveaway. These meal boxes brought warmth and comfort to families who might have otherwise faced a difficult holiday season. The team collaborated with local businesses and organizations whose generosity directly funded these heartfelt gifts. They also worked closely with our school principals to make sure that we identified the families with the greatest need. When families feel supported in our district, connected and valued, students thrive, not just academically, but emotionally as well. I want to personally thank and recognize each member of this team. The crucial work you do truly uplifts our families, strengthens our communities, and ensure that no student in Modesto City Schools falls behind. You are truly MCS heroes.
So many trophies, so little time. Thank you, Parent Engagement and Outreach, for your commitment and passion to members of this community, including MCS families. President Irvin, that concludes tonight's recognitions.
Thank you, Ms. Shams. Next, we have A8, our Board of Education members' reports. Do we have any board members who would like to share a report? Vice President Maestas.
All right, thanks so much. So the first thing is I'd like to send my heartfelt condolences to the families, the students, the staff in Ceres for the tragic loss of a teacher this past weekend. She was a friend to many people, an inspiration for many kids in our special ed community in Ceres, and it's a complete tragic loss, as I found out about it earlier this morning. My prayers are with the family and through this difficult time, and all of those students and friends in the schools. It's really difficult to lose somebody so close to so many people. So I wanted to send those out. This is the first time that we had our swearing in earlier today, and we were sworn in at the City Hall. And this is the first time that I've publicly wanted to thank all of the people that have supported and this is myself, that supported me in the election this last year, went out and did the hard work for me. But I also want to just thank all of those that voted in Area 4. I'm completely grateful for the support of so many individuals and the trust that you have in me to continue the work to support our kids in Modesto City Schools and doing all that we can for our students to give them the best education possible and to change our community for the better, because it is my complete belief. I said this throughout the election, but also throughout last year, that is my belief that through better education, we have stronger community. And that is the way that we bring up Modesto, is that we invest our time, talents, and treasure and energy towards our kids, because they're the future of our community. So thank you so much for putting your trust in me. And I do have to really specifically thank my wife and my kids. They're not here today. My daughter is performing tonight in a band, and then they have their cast party. So they're somewhere. I'm sure they're not watching, but I am gonna, when I go home, I'm gonna turn it on YouTube and show them this part so that they know that I thank them for all of their support, the time away that I have every once in a while here working for our kids. But even just the time that they put in, passing out flyers, getting up in the morning and helping me retape a sign that was destroyed, and just the time and effort my kids put into the process. I really can't do it without my family. So I thank my family, I thank everyone else for the support through that time. And I'm ready to go, ready to start next 4 years for our kids. So, report stuff. I went to the Salida Area Public Facilities Finance Agency meeting I believe it was a week or two. We heard about an audit. that was pretty much it for that meeting. I went to the CIFA, School Infrastructure Financing Agency meeting. We also heard the audit there. And great news, we are finalizing CFD 1994, so that's closing out in Village 1. No more taxes for that bond. So just got to get all the paperwork filed, and once it's done, the residents over there won't see that in their taxes anymore. So that's really awesome. We're really excited about that. Another audit for our MS-CIFA, all things great. And then the last thing I want to report on is I was able to be a part of the panel for the People's Plan Community panel that was put on by the West Modesto Community Collaborative. There were representatives from different elected positions from our human, what were some of the housing, Stanislaus Regional Housing District, supervisor, city councilman, health services. So we were all there representing and answering questions for the community of West Modesto, but also Stanislaus County on the ways that we support. So I was pleased to go represent Modesto City Schools and talk about School Links and how we are preparing kids for college and career readiness, and letting them know what they can do to keep communication with the schools and prepare their students for life after high school. So that was really great to be part of that event, and that's my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Mejia.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I did a lot of the stuff Abel said. I want to take this opportunity as well. First, to thank God for being alive today and the opportunity. My parents are not here, but I know the decision to come to the United States, so many years ago, gave me the opportunity to kind of be sitting here. Secondly, I would like to thank my family. They're here in the audience. Also, my son is celebrating his birthday today, 50th birthday. So pretty special time for me today, just to be sitting here, an opportunity for our kids to see, not just my kids, but lots of kids in the community, that you can be a second language learner, you can do all those things and still have an opportunity to serve your community. So I have lots of stories. I'm not going to talk about them here, about the teachers that impacted my life and supporting me in this journey, that it's not one person, it's hundreds of people that it's hard to mention all of them here. I do also want to thank some individuals, some organizations that supported me through this journey of getting reelected. And one of those, my family always being there, putting up with time away, putting all that stuff, but also organizations, MTA, lots of people that came out and supported day in and day out. I had a little gathering for some of these young people that have supported me and doing what Abel was mentioning, passing out flyers, doing all these things. That they believe in me as the experience. They supported me because they know who I am as a person, and so the opportunity to thank them and invite them to kind of hang out together. So I just want to thank all those community members that came out and voted for our bond as well, and for me, we did it kind of like a combination type thing. I always spoke about the bond and spoke about how our work will continue, and we want to make sure that continues moving forward in this next 4 years and beyond. So I don't think the decisions that we're making now are only for the present, but they're for the future generations to come. So I'm just grateful and thankful. Also, I want to also recognize there's also put in prayers a family in Turlock that is going through a lot. They lost some loved ones, and I know in this time of celebration for many people, there's also time to recognize there's also a lot going on for some families, and acknowledging that and holding them if you're close to them, in any way that you can support them is greatly appreciated. So thank you, Modesto. Thank you, this community. Thank you to my family and all our supporters. Thank you very much.
Trustee Marks?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, and appreciate the comments. And just want to congratulate those of you Trustee Maestas, Trustee Mejia, and Trustee Urban for your reelection, and that we get to work with you for at least 2 more years till the next election. And so we're grateful that we got to keep the same team. I think this is the first time in my 27 years on this board that we have the same team 2 years in a row, for 2 full years, 3, going on 3. And so it's amazing because we've had so many changes over that time, and I just appreciate the consistency. So it'll be wonderful. So wanted to give my report, and it was great to go to the swearing in at the city council meeting when you were sworn in with the 3 council members, the city council members. That was pretty cool. I don't think they did that for us last time. I think we had to come here. There was a mix-up last time, and so it was really great to have you guys and see that. And then I wanted to give my report. I've attended the Career Tech. I think Trustee Brown and I don't know if anybody else was able to go to it at the Graffiti Museum.
I was there.
Oh, I missed seeing you. But it was really awesome to see our students at the tables, hundreds of them, and from every high school in our district, and then all the students from around our county coming in to see the Career Tech and all the offerings that were available to them. So I thought that was really special. Many of us attended the Salvation Army Kettle Kickoff. They raised over $150,000 for unhoused and people in crisis. So that day wasn't as much as in the past, but it is a really special day, and it's fun to see the $1 bills falling from the ceiling. If you've never been there, it's fun to see that, and people running around with buckets for 7 minutes trying to collect cash and checks. So it's a great event. Also attended the CSBA annual, our delegate assembly meeting. We elected new leadership in CSBA, and then also the conference. So all of us, but I think Trustee Daly and Trustee Maestas were able to attend the conference. I attended many sessions, enjoyed the ones that our staff did. I know our staff, Superintendent Noguchi did 2 or 3 different ones on attendance. I got to sit at a panel with her. Trustee Irvin did one on African American progress in our district. It was impressive. I actually had a call. Somebody wanted some more information on that, so we're passing that information on because it was so great. We did the one on attendance in our district, and then our data collection, which is helping us know where we see areas that we could improve on and how to do that, and sharing that out with other districts that want to do the same thing. But I also went to, they had 3 speakers on AI, at least, maybe more, sessions on AI. Fascinating. Just have to tell you one thing. I heard, the last speaker on Saturday was phenomenal on how we're going to be using this in the future. And the thing that I was afraid of, they answered my fears. So my fear was, the kids are going to use it to, do their book reports and do all these things, and oh no, will they be reading the book? So Santa Ana had the best that one of the teachers shared. She said, here's how I use it. She said, I have the students go ask the AI, give me a book report, tell me what you thought of the book, and tell me what you thought of the themes in the book, and tell me the main characters and some different things, and what you liked about the book. So you ask the AI this. Then the students go and evaluate, was the AI correct? Did the AI have the same ideas that you had? Will you share me your ideas that oppose the AI's ideas? So they're using that information to actually determine how well the AI was doing on that information. And so it shows if the child actually read the book. She said, it's been awesome. So they have all these prompts that they use. So that was fascinating to me. It was a really good presentation. Okay, next, I attended the Equity Committee meeting this last week. It was us. We talked about the surveys that have been done and how people are, just how our students and our staff believe we're doing in our equity. And so that will come to us at some point, and so we'll get to hear the results of all of that. Attended the Clergy Council meeting with our Chief Communications Officer, Sherakina Shams, and it was a special day. Not a lot there because of the holidays and some of the things going on and health issues with some of the members, but it was really a good meeting, hearing the updates from the mayor and the chief, the associate chief of police. I can't remember. And then Saturday, this has been a busy month. I can tell you, you all know. So Saturday, lastly, got to go to the Buffalo Soldiers did a toy giveaway at Franklin School. And over, I think, 200 students received toys. They gave out toys. They had a very well organized. Parents Leading Change, we were there to hand out hot cocoa and just help them as they stood in line. But it was really special, and I was wondering if the 2 students we had tonight actually got to attend it. Because the weather, you know what the weather was like on Saturday. They had to shift the time because it was pouring down rain in the morning, it was windy. They moved it because it's all outside, except for the toys are inside the cafeteria. But it was really a special event. But just to see those little faces so happy, and then they did a drawing for like 5 bicycles at the end. So it was really special. So I was very honored to be able to go to that. Sorry it's such a long report, but there was a lot happening. So just we have a lot to rejoice over, though we do have families that we would love to send our prayers and just pray for them as they go through. Both families lost people, the 2 cars. So.
Hey, thank you. Trustee Daly.
I actually had the opportunity to have a lot of fun over the last few weeks. Starting off with, so holiday season is one of my favorite seasons of the year, probably the favorite season. So everybody enjoy spending time with their family and having that break. So this was actually my first year attending the Salvation Army Kettle Kickoff, and Trustee Marks is absolutely correct. If you can attend and have not, you need to go. It was fun. I was really surprised. And then Johansson High does take over the neighborhood in several different neighborhoods, or 4 different neighborhoods over on the east side. I was able to join them in Empire to do the take over the neighborhood, and then also in the airport district. Then I was able to join Enoch's High at the Modesto Holiday, the downtown parade. So that was a lot of fun. That band, they were great. In the airport district and Empire district, there's a lot of community members that join us too. So it's actually a kind of a pretty big thing, especially at airport. And then the last thing that I was able to go to was the La Loma Middle School concert, or junior high concert. And wow, we have some really talented middle school kids. Man, there was 2 young ladies who did solos, and it blew me away. I certainly hope that they're going to high schools that have choirs, because that was wonderful. Even the beginning band did a great job. So everybody, it was fabulous. It was really enjoyable, and I appreciate being able to be a part of those.
Thank you, Trustee Daly. Trustee Brown?
Yes, I won't duplicate information that's been shared, but grateful for so many opportunities to express gratitude and see great things that are happening in the community. The CTE presentation was phenomenal. So impressive to see our students presenting and sharing the strengths of the programs that they're involved in. And to be able to interact with those students and have them explain to us what they were learning, it was phenomenal. Attending the CSBA conference, after you've been to many of these conferences, I catch myself as I go thinking, why am I here? What am I going to learn this time that I haven't heard before? And I have to tell you that I was not disappointed. I came away with a lot of information that I felt we needed, a lot of information about what's happening politically and financially, to kind of set things at ease a little bit, but also to keep us alert and aware of changes that may be coming. So just want to make a commitment that I'm going to be very involved in that front to make sure that lobbying efforts happen, that our district and our area is represented. And at the CSBA conference, I was so grateful for the strength of our district and the number of presentations and the values that we were able to share with the entire state education community about great things that are happening here. I was blown away by the presentation about how our district is using data and how we are really leading the way in learning how we can better serve the needs of our students through the information that we're able to gather with the new data programs that we have. And it was phenomenal to see the interest that other districts expressed in what we're doing, and to see how our teams are leading the way for others to be able to advance in this area as well. Also, I'm grateful continually to our community for things that I learn in our construction meetings on a monthly basis. I'm extremely proud of what is happening throughout the district, the progress that's happening on construction projects at almost every school site. And it's so exciting for me to read and hear about each of the projects and the progress that's being made. And every time I do, I'm grateful to the community for trusting Modesto City Schools with the bond money and tax dollars that allow us to improve all of our campuses, which allows us to improve learning for every one of our students. So thank you once again. And I want to thank the entire district and the entire team for all the great work that happens. You know, we've just come through the season of gratitude. We're coming into the season of celebration with more gratitude. Always want to let our employees know how much we appreciate the great work that they're doing. And let's celebrate that and celebrate it with our own families. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Trustee Lopez.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'll be brief. I know there was a lot mentioned of what we've been up to. I was also part of the CSBA conference, and I really enjoyed it. As Trustee Brown mentioned, you know, you're always kind of hesitant at seeing, like, will a conversation, you know, be of great use in our community? Will it be something else you already know? But no, I think, you know, especially when I went to a session around multilingual education, and I happened, through my work, happened to be immersed in that a lot in the last year, and I still found it very relevant, and learning new stuff about implementation of techniques of multilingual education, not only for EL learners, but general education in dual language programming. And so that was great to be a part of. One of the things that this conference was a reminder of, and I don't think we mentioned it mid-year, but last year when we were in CSBA, a couple of board members bumped into a young guy with a VR headset. And so he showed us this VR. He had us play with it, you know, but it was a VR with academic teachings around math, science, a bunch of other subjects. So we were, I know at least I got to play around with working with fractions. And so we talked it with Superintendent, I forget, I believe Mike, you were there, so you checked that out as well. And so we bumped into him. In this last week, and he's like, "Oh, thank you guys so much, because now," and we heard about it in the summer, but we forgot. At least I forgot to mention it. But now we're using their VR headsets. Their company is called Prism. And so they're using their headsets at Mark Twain for 2 teachers around math. And so it's a great, I believe it's a great program. I hope that, you know, like, the pilot goes well and we see a lot more of it. But it's just another reminder of the cool, innovative things that we're trying to bring to our district. And that wouldn't have happened if we weren't, you know, at that conference last year. You know, and we got the opportunity to talk to them. We got to meet the owner of the company, and so we're hoping that it shows good things. But from what I've heard, Kids are loving it, teachers are loving it. So I wanted everyone to know about that. Lastly, just again, as others have mentioned, thank you so much to everyone for this year of opportunities of conversations, of dialogue. As we go into hopefully 2 restful weeks, we want you to go with the mindset that we're all a great team, and I think that it takes everyone that's around the table, community, staff, and community and staff overall. I mean, we're all part of this community in one sense or the other. And so really thanks for all the opportunities that you've given us to learn from you, to grow with you all, and to make this a great district. And we're moving the dial forward, and we want to continue that with rested partners next 2025. And so on behalf of myself, my family, thank you, happy holidays, and we hope that overall you get to spend it with people that you love and doing stuff that you love, and that you rested, and we all come back stronger than ever, so that we together can make this a great district.
Thank you, Trustee Lopez. Now that leads to me. Now, it's a little long, and it's just gonna get a little longer. Since I'm outgoing president, starting with giving gratitude to my wife for this election. This election was had a really profound impact on me for a variety of reasons. But we've been empty nesters for 2 years. When they come back on break from college, are you still considered empty nesters? Okay. So I want to get out some prepared remarks. Good evening, friends, supporters, and members of our community. I stand here today with a heart full of gratitude and profound sense of responsibility, humbled by the trust you have once again placed in me. Tonight is not just about my reelection. Tonight is a celebration of the collective power of people coming together for a shared purpose, creating a brighter future for our children. First and foremost, I want to thank my incredible team, to the organizers, volunteers, and campaign staff who worked tirelessly to make this victory possible. Your dedication and passion inspire me every single day, from the long hours strategizing to knocking on doors and making countless phone calls. Your efforts have made this moment possible. I couldn't have done this without you. To my family and friends, thank you for standing by me during this journey. Your love and encouragement fuel my commitment to serving our community. To everyone who voted, volunteered, or spread the word about our vision, thank you for believing in me and the future we are building together. Education has always been my passion, my purpose, and my calling. I believe in the boundless potential of every child in our community. They are the reason I do this, the reason I fight for better schools, expanded opportunities, and programs that uplift and inspire. They deserve nothing less than our full commitment to ensuring that every door is open to them, regardless of their background, zip code, or circumstance. This election wasn't just about policies and promises. It was about people. It was about standing together to say we will not settle for mediocrity in education. We will aim higher, dream bigger, and work harder to give every child the tools they need to succeed. As I take on this new term, I promise to keep fighting for our kids, our teachers, and staff, for their future, and for the well-being of every family in this community. I promise to listen to you, to collaborate with you, and to never forget that I am here to serve you. Tonight, we celebrate, but tomorrow, the real work continues. Together, we will keep moving forward, breaking barriers and building a brighter future for the next generation. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your trust, your faith, and your partnership. Let's keep working together for our children and their futures. And finally, to our 2 student board members, thank you for sharing your vision, insight, and passion in representing your fellow students. It has truly helped me gain some deeper understanding of our students from your perspectives. Again, thank you, and let's get to work. And congratulations, Ms. Debbie Martinez, for her election to Turlock School Board. If you don't know, now you know. And also to my fellow board members again, let's continue to get to work. And thanks to MTA, the Latino PAC, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated for helping in my my reelection. Okay, stuff that I done did. No. I attended the CSBA. I'm not going to go on there. I did a workshop there geared to what our district is doing to help uplift and improve test scores in math and in reading for our African American students. I did that in conjunction with a board member from Emeryville School District, as well as their superintendent. Attended our budget consult. I actually gave out over 250 coats to the unhoused with several of our high school students and junior high school students on a very cold Saturday. I was also at the Salvation Army Kettle Kickoff. Had a great time. You know, been to many of those, and they are a very worthy cause. Attended the board president and VP consult, and I too was at the CTE Inspire Youth Inspire Dreams. They said there was over 3,000 students who came through there. So it was good to see all of our CTE programs and other programs and how our students were marketing and advertising or advocating for our CTE programs. You know, our ag departments there, our JROTC was there, you know, Future Farmers of America, FFA. So it was just really, really good. Again, I just thank everyone for having that faith in me, as the Lord has had that faith in me. So that definitely helps. Thank you. We still got a meeting to continue with? No. So that brings us to A9, our annual board reorganization. Now we're going into our board reorganization, but before we begin, I'd like to just say a few words. I just did. So what's that? All the board members, you gave your remarks.
I'd like to say something.
Again?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'd like to say a few words as we begin our reorganization. A few words of thanks and appreciation to President Irvin over the last year. A year ago, about a year and a week ago, you and I drove together to San Francisco for the CSBA conference. And we had a wonderful, long conversation about our experiences in education, what led us here, and what we were fighting for. And I just remember vividly the account that you brought, the personal perspective of the things that had put you where you are today, and the experience that you had in the classroom, and the experience you had as a mentor and in the mentor programs, and all of those things that you talked about, and how today they inspire you to do the work that you're doing. And that was inspiring to me, knowing where you came from, what you did, and how that is pushing you every day and every day. And I remember that conversation is going to live in my memory forever. Especially there was a part that we talked about your math and science experience, and that really stuck with me, being a math teacher, and how the things that we do inspire our kids. And I think that the work that you've done this year, leading our group and this team together, has been inspiring as well. A couple of things I wrote down because I didn't want to forget the things that just inspire me every day, and I'm sure that others do. Just the things that you bring to our team and the leadership that you've given us over this past year. The belief that all kids, no matter their circumstance, can succeed if given the opportunities. And I think you mentioned that in your speech, and it was something I had written down because it's something that lives. That's your being, and I truly believe that's so important for us to have in our team, as well as your mind towards equity. I think that is a foundation for all the decisions that you make, all the movement that we made over this last year, over the course of 4 years since I've been on the board, is your mind towards making this a better place for all kids and equitable circumstances. So I really appreciate that from you. And I'm going to highlight a couple other things because I don't want to be really, really long because there's so many things, right?
Well, since you're talking
voice.
about me, you can just keep going.
Oh, going forever,
Just
yeah.
keep,
So this other thing that's on my list is your sense of humor. So I love that part. Your eye to student voice. One of the things that happened this year that I am super appreciative is that we have 2 student representatives that bring voice to our large district, and a voice that's different. And I appreciate the 2 of you on this board. I appreciate President Irvin's leadership in making sure that we have 2 students to represent our student population. So an eye to student voice, and then, like I said, bringing your personal experience into the decision-making process. I know you've led with that, and I appreciate every time you bring that to our table, and that you have an eye for empathy, and I really appreciate all that you've done this year. Without further ado, I have something for you.
Uh-oh.
You may have the bag and the tissue paper as well, but I'm gonna take it out. So, I'd like to present you outgoing President Irvin. Thank you for your year as president, and we appreciate your leadership so much.
Thank you very much, Vice President. Yeah, that's good. Yes. Thank you for those words. Very moving words, and just like your story, growing up in Delano, in Cesar Chavez's neck of the woods, your life in the agricultural mecca of our state, and so that really means a lot to me. So I'm gonna leave it right there before I get too emotional. But thank you again, because your story is too inspiring, especially with that math background, and that, so it's definitely an inspiration to me, to the point I might have you just tutor me in some math just so I can get some confidence back,
Oh yeah, this will be fun. Got my whiteboard right in the living room. We can start working.
So, Trustee Lopez?
Well, President Irvin, you mentioned about where we come from and our backstories, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that a lot of people might not know this, and even if they knew, they wouldn't get the significant. Well, they probably get the significance, but the significance, what it means to me, that every time that I step into this dais, I am seated next to two individuals that, in one way or, every individual here is important, and I believe that, but important in the formation of who I am as a professional and my community mindset. In different ways, but every time I sit here, I sit with an individual that is my mentor, that has been that has brought me in as part of their family, but and then with President Irvin, someone that I looked up to in what I saw what I saw as mentorship and true leadership reflected in a young person's life. So, Trustee or President Irvin has, as he's mentioned before, worked in Project Uplift, and I would hang around with all the mentees from the Project Uplift, Andre, Anastasio. I mean, it's been 15 years. I mean, so I can't. But then them two were the ones that I hung out with the most, and so I had the opportunity to hear about President Irvin through them, and just the inspiration that you were to their lives is amazing. And then even with others that were around them, they had that sense of like, this is the coolest guy that is investing time into a student's education, but more importantly, into a student's life. And so being able to be here with you, and then now having you as president over the last years, I've seen that now in the first sense, because as was mentioned, our two student reps were, the idea of it was because we knew that we wanted more student input. We knew that that we wanted to hear more voices, and you were instrumental to making that happen. And so for me, for me, being here with you and being able to work alongside with you, and even when you came on the board, just the still mentoring and being the and learning from you on every time that we have conversations and we're able to talk about certain things. Learning from you is a great honor, and something that as a high school student, it blows my mind that I get to do this, and I get to do this with, like I said, all of you, but especially you, Trustee Irvin. And so thank you for your leadership, thank you for your mentorship, and thank you for always not looking at the deficit, but looking at the potential. You're a very big embodiment of that, of looking at promise students. And so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Lopez. That means a lot. I mean, like I said, you were just a kid when I knew you and seeing you walking on those campuses of, both Hanshaw and Modesto High School. And so it's the testament to you that you're here. You know, when you got on the board, I was just like, wow, I know that kid, I know that kid. And to see where you are now, the role model that you are, you give hope to all of our students here that they can make a difference and that they can make a change in our school. So thank you for that. Trustee Marks.
Thank you, Trustee President Irvin. I just want to say a few words, very short, but I just want to say that I am so appreciative of the fact that I've known you for a long time and honored that I was able to be part of the school board team that appointed you to the board. It was such a great thing when we voted and you ended up being on here. I was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. So I appreciate your perspective, your passion that's already been talked about, your passion for the students, how much you care. I've seen it. I've seen you grow over the years to be so. You just elicit this. Come along with me. Come join me to do this, and that's a really special gift. That takes encouragement, and the fact that your mentoring group is called Uplift, I think of that because you're so encouraging. You're so positive, and when there's something that you have to address, you address it in such a way that helps us see it better from your perspective, and then come alongside and say, what can I do to work with you, and how can we solve this, and what do you need? And it has, you've affected our city in a special way. You have great leadership, and I just love how people respond to you. And the humor was mentioned. I said, oh, I love your sense of humor, because when things get tense, you got something funny to say, and it just breaks that tension. So I just want to say that I really appreciate you and all that you've done, and the leadership that you've brought this last year along as representing us in the community. You've represented us extremely well, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Marks. Like I said, we go way back.
Yes,
you
we
know,
do. Yes.
when I first started working with the district, and we've been through those good times, and we've been through those challenging times. I'm not going to call them bad times, because God always has a plan.
That's right. Amen.
And I'm here now.
That's right.
So thank you very much.
Congratulations on
I
your
appreciate,
reelection.
and I appreciate your leadership here as well. You know, your insight on budgets, and just your overall insight. You really know this school board intricacies better than anyone I've come to know in terms of, and that stems for your state leadership when you were president of CSBA till now. So I really appreciate you. Thank you. Trustee Daly.
President Irvin, maybe for the last time, but I really appreciate, a lot like everybody else, your sense of humor, your insight into a lot of different things, being part of CSEA and part of the school system and everything. I've learned so much from you, your leadership, the strength behind your leadership, not just the leadership. So I really appreciate the time that you have been president, and I look forward to working with you at least for the next 2 years. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Daly. And I too, I appreciate you and your honesty, and how you also, say what you mean and mean what you say. You break it down and you give the why. A lot of times people do things and we don't understand why, but you make it quite clear of the why and explain that. I know one of the first events I attended with you and the same together was at Modesto High when they were having the marathon over there at, was that La Loma Park? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I knew your dedication to students was real. That was early in the morning. So thank you, and Cole, thank you very much, Trustee Daly. Trustee Brown.
Well, John, President Irvin, it's been a pleasure working with you this past year in your role as president of our board. And I want to just mention how much I appreciate the opportunity to work with this group of people. And you exemplify what is so great about the opportunities that we share. Each one of us comes from a very unique, different background. We bring different perspectives to the table. And what we've been able to do with those perspectives is create a team that works well together. And everyone at this table contributes their piece. And we represent different ethnicities, but we represent a very good mix of our entire community. And I appreciate what you've done especially in the area of equity. And your focus has helped us at a time where we need to bring that into the classroom more. And I appreciate the fact that you've been a cheerleader for the way that it's happening. I think that we're going to do something exemplary within our district as we roll out new programs. And it's because of the fact that you were president at this time. It's very, very important. Also, I want to point out something that I have been watching since I came on the board. I remember in many of the reports that we received early on, there was a great focus on the fact that our young African-American males were not progressing at the rate of every other group within our community. We saw that our young African-American females were progressing much faster. I saw that as we started seeing the college tours happen. I remember the first tour, there were only a couple of boys and so many girls. And every year I watched that group change to where this past year, as you took the group of our students from our BSUs to the campuses throughout the nation, and you have to help me with what the designation is of those schools that you visit. What do we?
HBCU?
HBCU. I knew there was a. What I saw this year in the pictures were that almost half of the group were our young African-American males. And that tells me that what you're bringing to the table with your mentorship and your leadership, it has a great influence on those young men who see you as a mentor and example. And we thank you for your willingness to help them see opportunity for themselves. And that's a very significant piece of what you've brought to the table this year, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Trustee Brown, and thank you for your leadership. I mean, I watch you, as especially you and Trustee Marks, since I've been on this board, watch how you carry yourself, how you handle yourself, how you handle board meetings. Your reputation preceded you because you were the Sylvan board. I see your names on plaque of schools over there, and people talk about you. You guys got Chad Brown over there now. He was over here, and look what he done over here. And it's, I was like, yeah, Chad, yeah, he's my buddy. Yeah. So it's good to be able to be a part of that leadership as well. Because we all gain insight from what you've done, what you continue to do, and what you plan to do in the future. And so it's always good to pick your brain and things like that about certain things and your leadership in the community, Boys and Girls Clubs and the other things that you're always involved in. And then being the bond man, 007, man, I'm just waiting for you to just whip out, something, some gadget or something and make it happen. But yeah, we understand your passion for education. So thank you for that. Student Trustee Gupta.
I'm here today with a heart full of gratitude and admiration for someone who has left an indelible mark on our district, our incredible board president, President Irvin. The first time I saw you, I was just a nervous student competitor at the Tournament of Talent. As I took the stage, my heart pounding, I scanned the audience, and there you were, one of the judges. I remember thinking, he looks so calm and kind. Maybe he'll go easy on me. That encouraging moment stayed with me. And though at the time I had no idea just how much our paths would cross. Fast forward to my interview to join the board. I was so nervous, but again, your kind atmosphere put me at ease. From the moment we met, you were warm, welcoming, and genuine. You didn't just treat me as a young person joining a room full of adults. You treated me as a partner. That respect has meant more than I can ever express, and I know that countless students across our district would say the same about your leadership. Under your guidance, our district has flourished. You've been a forerunner to so many positive changes, initiatives that don't just look good on paper, but genuinely transform the lives of students, including myself. But what I admire most about you is how you lead with both heart and humility. In every meeting, every decision, and every conversation, you've modeled what it means to truly care about our students. You've shown me and all of us how important it is to listen, to collaborate, and to always keep the well-being of students at the center of our work. Thank you, President Irvin, for everything you've done for our district, for our students, and for me. Your past and future contributions will live on, not just in our policies and programs, but in the lives of students who are braver, stronger, and more hopeful because of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Trustee Gupta. Wow, those words. Like I said, we first encounter was the talent tournament of talent, and so it's so great to see that you have a multitude of talents, and then you decided to take your talents to become a student board trustee, and to me that was the biggest thing, to see you in that role, to utilize your knowledge, your wisdom, your passion for the district as a whole, but in perspective for your fellow students. You're definitely an advocate, and that the old thing is, leave no child behind. You both haven't left any student behind. They should be very proud, and I know they are very proud of what you've accomplished here in this year, and especially made a mark, indelible mark on me as well. So thank you. Student Trustee Dagger.
So I think I've mentioned this a couple times already, but the last 5 months have very much been a learning experience. Every single meeting has delivered like very, very important lessons to me about, in terms of my character, but also in terms of like what it means to be a representative. And all of that is possible because of the board members, and especially because of you, President Irvin, for your leadership. And so if there's one thing I really want to emphasize and thank you for, it's for your role in my mentorship to become, a better representative, just a better person overall. So thank you very much for that, above all. I also want to say thank you for your role in spearheading that movement to have 2 board reps. Like, that is very, very meaningful. I know as a student, I'm sure Student Rep Gupta knows as well, you can't possibly sum up 30,000 students' voices and concerns into a single person's perspective. And it's really reassuring that, whenever I'm swept up in my own perspective and I give that, it's reassuring to know that it's being complemented by another student rep as well. So that's really awesome. So I thank you for your role in that. And the last thing I really want to thank you for is for keeping the meetings very, very light and very enjoyable. There's been a lot of controversies in the last couple months, and it's really awesome to have somebody who's like, all right, come on, you can be a little bit happy about this, have some joy in life, So, poking fun at the Jaguars and everything, that's really cool. So that is not inspired by a personal vendetta or anything, absolutely not. But yeah, so thank you very much for your mentorship, and thank you very much for your humor and everything about you. It's just really awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, Student Trustee Dagger. Again, as well, I know your sense of humor as well, and your passion and your dedication to seeing the best put forward for students. And that's a testament. I mean, you guys are like, you and Student Trustee Gupta are like WWE tag team, and it's good to see that, and how you approach things, how you approach students' needs, how you approach even student wants, and so because they're both equally important, and to make a well-balanced, well-rounded student in our district. So I definitely appreciate you for that. And with that being said, Trustee Mejia.
Yes, well, I was thinking just, what am I gonna share about John? I don't write things down. I always speak from the heart. And, like many of the stuff, I mirror a lot of stuff people said about you. But I knew you from many years ago, and from the people you work, I said, who do you hang around with determines like the type of person you are and the type of work you do. And so, all the work, all the stuff you do has presented you way before that. So we knew about you before, like we even shook hands, before we even introduced ourselves. You have collaborated with so many folks that I admire and done so much work for this community that 7 generations from now, your name will still be remembered. And that's kind of the legacy that you leave in this community, that 7 generations from now, people are still gonna be talking about what you've left behind. So legacy is important, what you do with your sample, with your modeling, and what you leave behind. Your great-great-great-grandkids are gonna be talking about it. So just know that the work that you're doing is gonna transcend for many generations to come. So I just wanna thank you, and it's an honor serving alongside you, and hopefully this next 4 years and beyond, not just in this board, but in many community endeavors, we collaborate and we work towards the betterment of this community. Thank you so much for all that you do, have done, and will do.
Thank you, Trustee Mejia. As you said, we go back a long ways as well, and I've always admired your work in the community because you have, become the voice of people don't really recognize, some of the voiceless, and voiceless for various reasons. And seeing you operate in the community, and everybody knows you, and out there, you can't come across anybody that doesn't know Homero, and the work that you do, and the passion behind that work. And so I truly admire that, and will continue to admire that you're a role model for, 12 siblings? I can't even imagine 12 siblings. Man, so and with that, I admire your parents, because all y'all have been out in my house trying to raise 12 siblings. But that's a testament to your parents. You are definitely a reflection of their hard work and their dedication, and the reason why they chose to leave their home country to come here. So you're the result, and I'm sure you got other siblings that are doing just as well. So thank you very much. Dr. Noguchi.
All right, I'm the closer on this agenda item. A few things that I've heard: passionate, funny, genuine, a mentor, a leader, growth mindset, honest, funny, again, I think it was humorous. And I want to add master of governance. Superintendent of a district this size, fairly large district, my job and my role is to work on the operations of the school district, ensuring that our students have their needs taken care of so they can excel, but also part of that is working with this team. And a board president can make or break a superintendent. In fact, I've seen some superintendents get broken because of presidents. And I can say this year, it has been an honor to work with you, because you always picked up the phone. You always had the courageous conversation that I needed to have around you all as we work to create a team, because it's not about an individual board member, it's about the collective. And as president, you always kept that at the forefront. It was the collective. It wasn't necessarily what your want or your particular vision was. It's how do we bring folks together to be able to move our initiatives forward, because we know it's working and we see it in the data. So I want to thank you for being attentive, being supportive, and always having the courageous conversation even when it wasn't comfortable, and always making those decisions to support students, and that's the last descriptor, and that is student-centered. You are always hands down student-centered. It's easy to be adult-centered. That's the easier decision. But to be student-centered is a lot harder and can be a little more controversial. And because of that, and because of your time here on the board, along with many of you for the many years, we are making a difference. So thank you, and it's been an honor to work with you. And I look forward to the next president as we continue to move forward with our strategic goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Noguchi. And for me as well, it's been an honor to work with you alongside partners. I don't view you as we're your boss, you know, being the being the board. I view you as a partner, and you know, with the same mission and vision and goals that we have all been a part of collectively of coming up with. Also very you know, appreciative of that cabinet team. You know, the responsiveness when we have requests, or you know, or personally have requests that we need done, it's done expeditiously. It's done without malice. Believe me, I've talked to other board presidents, and some of the terminology they use to some of the cabinet members and staff, I was like, whoa, you know. And the last thing is, well, we don't hire them. We try to convince the superintendent to get rid of them. And I was like, wow, what kind of board y'all got? You know, and we're not in that space, you know, and it's a blessing that we're not in that space. And so that's a testament to your leadership, and that with your cabinet, with your leadership team. And so as we continue to move forward, I appreciate your words. I appreciate your wisdom, your knowledge, and I even appreciate when you have to check me sometimes, you know. So, and I know it's done from the heart. It's not done, you know, because it needed to be done, you know. And so I don't mind that. And like I said, I take everything as constructive, you know, and a teachable moment, you know. And so I really appreciate you. And really, before we get that, I forgot one thing. You got me so delved into this equity grading. Oh my goodness. You know, you know, this stuff really has teeth. It really has validity, you know. And so I thank you, you know, for that, because I know that was one of your but I done dwelled deep into it. So, and I see it. I see it. So thank you all. Does that take us to, well, we'll begin the selection process of our new board president and vice president. Then we will switch seats, and our new board president will oversee the remainder of the reorganization and board meeting. So with that being said, A9-1, selection of the president of the board. Do I have a nomination for the president of the board?
I would like to nominate Trustee Maestas.
Do you accept this nomination?
I do.
Do I hear a motion to approve the nomination of, second, that's right. Second by Trustee Mejia. Do I hear a motion to approve the nomination of Vice President Maestas to serve as the president of the board for 2025? All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Welcome, board president for 2025. President El Presidente Maestas. President Maestas. Let's give him a round of applause. A92. Do I have a nomination for the vice president of the board?
I would like to make a motion.
Yes.
I would like to make the motion to have trustee Mejia be our vice president of the board.
I'll second it.
Do you accept this nomination?
I do.
Right.
Do I hear a motion to approve the nomination of trustee Mejia to serve as the vice president of the board for 2025?
I second it.
I thought we had the second.
I second it.
Oh, seconded by trustee Marks. All in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Welcome, Vice President Mejia, as Vice President of the Board of Modesto City Schools for 2025. Okay, we will switch seats and resume our meeting under the direction of our new board president. I'm going there. All right, here we go. In a new chair. All right, we will continue then and continue our selection of representatives and membership committees. So we're going to start with the County Committee on District Organization. This committee usually meets once a year at the trustee dinner. Currently, it is myself that's on that. I believe historically it is the vice president that is that one, or does it not matter? It doesn't. Okay, so do we have a nomination for the County Committee on School District Organization?
You want to serve in that again? Are you good with it or no?
I can, sure.
I didn't.
Yes, I'm fine serving again, unless anybody else wants to do it. All right, well, do I have a nomination to continue President Maestas, weird, as the as the board rep for the school district or County Committee on School District Organization?
I move. Oh, go ahead.
All right, so moved by trustee Irvin,
I'll second.
seconded by trustee Marks. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Next up, the Salida Board Representative, a selection of Salida Area Public Facilities Financing Board of Directors. Currently, it is trustee Marks and alternate trustee Lopez. This meets 2 times a year, usually in December and June. Are we, either of the two want to continue that, or do we need representatives? Trustee Marks, did you want to say something?
I would like to continue on it, yes.
Okay.
It's the area that I serve, and I'm looking forward to being able to end the MLRUS in a couple of years,
Oh,
but not
that's gonna be
this year
nice.
yet, but it's getting close.
Okay, we need an alternate?
I don't mind being an alternate.
Okay. All right, so do I have a motion to continue for our representative being trustee Marks and our alternate trustee Lopez for the Salida Area Public Facilities Finance?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Brown, second by Vice President Mejia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Next up is the Schools Infrastructure Financing Agency, known as CIFA. Currently, we have myself and Trustee Lopez. We do need 2 alternates. Currently, it's Irvin and Daly. I'm okay serving on that again, so I would be happy to do that.
Likewise.
Okay, perfect. We do need alternates. Do we have anybody that?
I'm
Yes,
okay
Allison.
remaining the alternate.
All right,
Yeah, I will too. Is it 2 alternates, right?
2 alternates, yep. Sounds great. So do we have a motion to approve myself and Lopez as representatives, Irvin and Daly as alternates for CIFA?
I'll move to do that.
Okay, motion by Trustee Marks, second by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. All right, motion passes unanimously. Next up is the MS CIFA, which meets right before that, and it's the same as CIFA. So if we're okay with that, can I have a motion to approve the same representatives as before?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Brown, second by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on. California Association of Large Suburban School Districts Board of Directors. Currently, it is Board Representative Marks. Trustee Marks?
Yeah, I'd love to serve, to continue on that. It's
Okay.
a lot of policy and legislation stuff, so it fits with CSBA really well.
Sounds like you're perfect for that. So a motion to approve Trustee Marks to our representative for Cal SSD. Okay, motion by Trustee Daly, second by Vice President Mejia. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Okay. Next up is our District Audit Committee. So normally we have our board president and board vice president and an alternate. So that would be myself, Vice President Mejia, and then we need 1 alternate. Is there anybody that will volunteer?
I was volunteer as an alternate,
Trustee Lopez?
or
I was just gonna say I'm good with being an alternate too, but
Okay. Do I flip a coin or who wants to?
let's. How, however,
Whoever wants to do it?
however- Yeah.
Okay, so,
there's a couple others that I'm interested in, so I'm gonna say let Trustee Lopez do this one.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So do I have a motion for the District Audit Committee, the board president, myself, Vice President Mejia, and alternate to be Trustee Lopez? Motion by Trustee Daly,
I'll second.
second by Trustee Marks. All of those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. All right, next is our Construction Committee, every 3rd Wednesday of each month. Currently, it is Board Trustee Brown. Would you like to continue on that? All right. Do I have a motion to keep Board Rep Trustee Brown as our representative for the Construction Committee? Motion by Vice President Mejia, second by Trustee Irvin. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Next is our Budget Advisory Committee. This is also the board president and vice president, myself and Vice President Mejia. And we need 1 alternate, or 1 other board rep, actually. So currently we have Trustee Marks.
If anybody else would like to, I'm perfectly fine with
And I
that.
do have to say that there is a typo there where it says every 2nd Tuesday. It actually meets 4 times a year, and it's actually at 4 o'clock. So it's a little bit different scheduling there. So roughly 4 times a year.
In a cold room. I'm just kidding. It was just a cold room this last time.
I would love to be the alternate or now is this an alternate or is this actually the board, the person who's going?
This would be a
Okay,
representative.
okay, yeah, I would like that. That's the budget.
You okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to approve board president, vice president, and representative, trustee Daly for representative on the budget advisory committee?
I make a motion.
Okay, motion by trustee Marks, second by trustee Irvin. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? See none, motion carries unanimously. Next is our equity committee. This is the one that sparks people wanting to be on it. So currently we have trustees Lopez, Marks, and Vice President Mejia. We'll open it up for discussion. Do those three would like to continue on that?
Yes, I would too.
Yeah, yes? Okay. Is there anybody that would also like to be on that committee?
I was gonna say that I can cede my position to trustee Urban.
Okay. I'm okay with, I trust you guys. I mean, I would love to be on it, but I trust you guys. So, can I have a motion for our representatives for the equity committee? Trustee Irvin, trustee Marks, and Vice President Mejia. Okay, motion by trustee Daly, second by trustee Lopez. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Next up is our Ethnic Studies Guidance Council. Currently, trustee Irvin, trustee Marks, and Vice President Mejia. Would you like to continue on that? Yes, for sure. Anybody else want to be on that committee? Okay, do I have a motion to continue with board representatives Irvin, trustee Marks, and Vice President Mejia on the Ethnic Studies Guidance Council? Okay, moved by trustee Brown, seconded by Daly. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. All right, we have a new committee, and this is the 5th grade Family Life Committee. It's expected to meet every month on Tuesday or Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30. I don't know if they've had that exactly planned out yet.
I can defer to Mr. Rich, but it is a committee that's going from January until June. So really, it's just taking a look at the curriculums and the topics that are going to be taught in 5th grade. So it's not an ongoing, but when do you have that scheduled?
The dates are all set. It's either a Tuesday or a Wednesday, depending on which month that lands on for different things. But we have all the dates set.
All right, we need 3 representatives for this newly formed committee.
I would love to be on this committee.
All right.
I would too.
All right.
I would as well.
Lopez. Any other interest? All right, do I have a motion for our board reps for the 5th grade Family Life Committee? Trustee Daly, trustee Marks, and trustee Lopez. Motion by trustee Brown, seconded by trustee Irvin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion passes unanimously. Last on our list is the Association of Stanislaus County School Boards. So currently it is trustee Brown. Trustee Brown, would you like to continue in that? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve? He moves before I even say anything. Do we have a motion to approve trustee Brown as our representative for the Association of Stanislaus County School Boards? Motion by Vice President Mejia, second by trustee Daly. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Whew, okay. All right. So this takes us to our consent agenda. Are there any comments regarding consent agenda items? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Properly moved by Vice President Mejia, seconded by Trustee Marks. All those in favor to approve the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes unanimously. Next is our approval of discussion items. Do I hear a motion to approve the order of discussion and action items? Move approval by by Vice President Mejia, seconded by Trustee Daly. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Now we are at our period for public presentations. So thank you again, all of you, for attending tonight's board meeting and showing interest in our schools. I have 2 cards this evening, and I'll call your name, ask you to come up and please address the board. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll add an additional minute if you need translator services. All right, so first I have Mr. Joe Tornberg.
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, cabinet members. My name is Joe Tornberg. I am a 26-year teacher for Modesto City Schools. 18 of those years has been at Shackelford. And I am also a voter in trustee area 4, as well as a parent with a high school senior and one that graduated a few years ago. So very proud of what MCS has done for my children. But I want to address what happened last school board meeting with regards to the COVID funding and the sunshine of that. And before I do, I'd be remiss if I did not compliment our student representatives. Teachers around the district have taken notice of both of you and were extremely impressed and are giving high praise to both of you for your comments, your vote, and your analysis of the situation. So well done to both of you. And you're truly a representative of Modesto City Schools. With that being said, I could go backwards and rehash all the comments that were made at the last several board meetings regarding that, but we need to move forward. MTS is a robust, powerful reading program. And my fear is that as we move forward and knowing that there are other funds that must be sunshined and evaluated moving forward from those COVID funds, what are we going to do in the interim before we get to the same situation next year? Are we going to just put on a list of cuts again, or are we going to find a way to mitigate that in advance so that way that program, which has inspired children and creating readers, will continue? My fear is that being a 26-year veteran of the Modesto City Schools and knowing how Sacramento works and the requirements we have, that we might be on a brand new program but we have one that works. My fear is that we will abandon it and not continue it. And I also wonder, and I've been wondering, is I agree with the superintendent's analysis of the improvements we've been seeing. I see it in my classroom. I see it with my scholars who are second language learners primarily, and they are reading. They are excited. They love learning. They can read the math, which had not happened before. But I wonder if we are shortchanging ourselves a little early, because I look at the graduation rates and they're great, but they're not good enough. And I worry if we cut this program a little too early and we don't see the true longevity.
Keep going. Finish your statement and then.
Thank you, I appreciate that. If we don't see the true longevity all the way through high school and see those graduation rates improve and see less students on in those remedial programs, then we don't know if it has had that true long-term impact, because it is working at the primary level. And I think we should really consider doing more with that for the future and for future students. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you. Next, I have Mr. Aaron Anguiano.
Good evening, Board and Ms. Noguchi. I'm here, I'm glad the way things are going, and thank you, and I appreciate that you guys were reelected. With your experience, we're gonna go forward. And this is the first time I saw two student reps, so that's great to see. I was always thinking why Turlock has two and you only had one, being a bigger district. And hopefully we'll have a Latino rep soon, one of these days, one of these years. And I'm sure you can find some Latino scholars, and with the help of Adolfo and Homero, I'm sure there's gotta be some really smart kids also in our district. 70% of them are Latino. And I'm here to complain about your time that you give to the community. It's good that we're here, we're invited, but we want to feel welcome. And I think that 3 minutes is not enough, as you just saw it happen. And I like it to go back to 5 minutes like long ago. Also, the city of Modesto finishes the list or the cards that are turned in, and they still ask the audience, is there anyone else that wants to say something? And I wish you could do that too. That shows that you welcome the community, okay? Thank you. Well, but the reason I'm here is because my son, Davis, brought me this sheet of paper. I had even forgotten about it, to donate blood because he's in the medical science program. Well, I just quickly signed it. Yeah, fine, give blood. I don't have any problem with that. That's a novel thing to do. Well, then I find out he comes back home and he's dizzy and he can do his homework. Well, what happened? Well, there they took 2 pints of blood, put it through a machine, they took the red out, and they put the plasma back in with a solution. That's really like a no-no. I think you need to fix that. And I brought it up to Mr. Marks, Mr. Hurst, but nothing has been done as far as I know. But I'd like to see a resolution. I'd like to hear about what you're going to do about it. Because if you ask for my permission, then it needs to be in the affirmative. It's not like, well, we're going to cut your son's hand unless you sign here that you don't want to. You know, it feels like that. Like when you're going to give permission, it needs to be in the affirmative. You know, you give permission, not like, oh, they say, well, you didn't mark this little window. You should have marked it if you didn't want him to donate power red. Like, what the heck is power red? Well, when we take the red blood cells out of the blood, and then you do that to a child that is 16 years old, doesn't know anything different, you know? So I just wanted to complain about that. And I'd like to see a resolution. Maybe you can add something to the flyer, says, hey, watch out, there's a little thing here that you don't mark it, they're gonna do this to your son. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to each speaker. Again, although we cannot engage in discussion or take formal action items not on the agenda, we thank you again for following protocol and coming and being part of our school board meeting this evening. This brings us to our student rep reports. So our student reps decided before the meeting, and Representative Gupta will be going first tonight.
Good evening. 2 weeks ago, I had the incredible opportunity to attend the CSBA Annual Education Conference in Anaheim as a student board member. So today I'd like to share my experience. On the first day, we had a long 7-hour training session where we learned about the specific duties of student board members. We learned about key topics like the LCAP, the local control and accountability plan, the California dashboard, and much more. The second day was equally exciting, and it was broken into 3 distinct parts. First, we attended a general session. There we witnessed an amazing performance by outstanding high school musical group. I think all of you guys saw it too. It was super cool. It was a really inspiring start to the conference. After the general session, we moved on to the leadership assembly, which took place in a truly unique setting. It was backstage on the Space Mountain ride in Disneyland. We were really able to engage in discussions in the assembly and learn more about leadership and education, all while being surrounded by the happiest place on earth. And finally, we had some free time to explore Disneyland on our own, which was, of course, my favorite part. Beyond the activities and the sessions, of course, though, the best part of the conference for me was the opportunity to connect with student board members from other districts in California. When I first arrived, I didn't really know any of the other approximately, I think, 160 student representatives, but by the end of the conference, I made connections with peers from many places like Monterey Bay and like South Lake Tahoe and Ripon. It was amazing to hear about their experiences and challenges, and it reminded me that we're all part of something much bigger than our individual districts, and that we're all going through similar things. Next, I would like to briefly discuss updates in our own district. Many high school music programs have completed their winter season of concerts and have begun preparing for next semester. Many of these musicians have also completed their auditions for county honor bands, including myself. Next, many of our students also participated in the Lights Parade on December 7th. Just some examples include our marching band, color guard, youth commission, National Honor Society, Key Club, and many more student-run organizations. Lastly, the next main events for high school are winter homecoming and winter formal. Leadership classes are diligently preparing for the upcoming festivities. That concludes my report. Thank you and happy holidays.
All right, thank you so much for that report. Next up, Student Trustee Dagger.
So there was no Inter-High Council meeting this December, but even without anybody telling me directly, I have this instinctual understanding as a student of why the air is so heavy right now. It's because of finals. The dreaded finals have finally come. But it's okay. With a couple cans of Red Bull and a couple late night cramming sessions, we should be fine. We'll power through. We'll get to the holidays. And I'm sure all of you are also probably feeling the heat, as a lot of our, I think, teachers and just anybody involved with education at all is kind of feeling it right now. But it's okay. That's it. Just a couple more days. Yeah, we got finals too. So, yeah, so there's a couple different school events that have been going on. We have winter homecoming coming up at a lot of different schools, particularly at Johansson. I know I have a couple friends there who are looking forward to that. And then at Modesto High School, we personally had Winterfest not too long ago, which is basically where all these clubs come together. It's like a fundraising opportunity. And it wasn't only open to Modesto High School students. We also had a lot of students from outside, from other schools come as well. I actually reconnected with someone who used to go to Mohi and is now at Enoch, so that was really cool. And then finally, basketball season, and of course, all of our other winter sports have finally gotten started. Haven't had the opportunity to go to the games for obvious reasons, but they have started, and I'm super happy for that. And then in terms of our Inter-High Council, we finally gotten started on our service project to establish an inter-junior high council where we're kind of trying to implement those leadership skills that kids are going to need later on at the high school level, earlier on. And so we contacted junior high teachers, and we had a couple discussions with them, as Kaveri and I both know. And yeah, that's about it. I'm going to go home and study for my English final after tomorrow. So yeah, that's about it. Happy holidays.
I'm just going to add one thing. The two of you, this is a particularly late board meeting because we really haven't even gotten started yet with all the reports. I would invite you to think about what you have tomorrow morning, and if going home and studying is a good choice, then I suggest that you do that. All of us here understand that because we haven't even started with our board presentations yet. So you do you, and I wish you the best of luck, both of you.
Yeah, I don't have finals tomorrow, so. But my son had a gift exchange last week, and the hot ticket item was the pack of four Red Bulls. So I see what you're saying. So, okay, we're going to move on to our two reports. First up, Modesto Teachers Association.
Good evening, Board President Maestas. I'll work on that for a while. Trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, and Cabinet, Modesto community. My name is Chris Peterson, proud President, Modesto Teachers Association. On behalf of MTA, the California Teachers Association, and our Stanislaus County Service Center, I'm here to extend an invitation. Always be mindful of a union member offering an invitation. MCS trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, and board student representatives. I have a shindig for you. Monday, February 3rd, 6 p.m. There is an annual CTA trustee dinner. It will be at Papa Poloni Mediterranean Bistro. All the cool hip people will be there. It is an honor that our service center has elicited the support. Third-ranking official in CTA, Secretary Treasurer Erica Jones, will be speaking on our behalf. Your presence and participation is warmly invited. We missed you last year. As the largest unit in Stanislaus County, our MCS absence was noticed. Of course, MTA representatives attended last year, and we look forward to your participation this year. We understand scheduling difficulties, thus the invitation this evening to provide plenty of notice, so hopefully get on your very busy calendars. If you could please RSVP, it would help our planning purposes immensely. We hope to see many of you as possible Monday, February 3rd, 6 p.m. It's behind the Nation's Burgers on McHenry. You can't miss it. Student Representatives Gupta and Mr. Dagger, I know it's just going to be a bunch of old people, but I promise there are other board reps there too, so we would love to have you. Official invitations, I'll start it with you and they can just pass it around the horn. Names are on there. Happy holidays, enjoy your winter break. We'll see you in January.
Thank you so much.
February, right? February for the shindig, correct.
Do we have a representative from the California School Employees Association for a report? No, Fawn's not here today. Okay, so I've been asked to take a break, so we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back to finish off our agenda. Thanks. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're gonna move on to item B4. And the Board of Education will recess and convene as the Modesto City Schools Joint Powers Authority. And first action is to approve the minutes for the meeting of December 11th, 2023. I hear a motion from Trustee Marks. Do I have a second? Second from Trustee Daly. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes unanimously. We will now complete the annual election of Modesto City Schools Joint Powers Authority 2025 officers. Do I hear a motion to approve the officers as slated in the agenda?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the officers. They
All right.
are, yeah, it basically goes by the.
What we have now? Yes. Okay. So we have a motion by Trustee Marks, second by Trustee Irvin. All those in favor? Signifies by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none. That is moved, passes unanimously. Okay, I will need a motion to approve the authorization of the annual audit of the accounts and records of the authority for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, and direction to staff to transmit the report accordingly. Do I have a motion? Yes.
So audit of what funds? Can anyone answer?
Yes, Mr. Zerly.
These are audits of the fund. Let me look at the QSKIB, qualified school construction bonds that were issued back in 2010 for the completion of Gregory High School. If you add to that, Mr. Wolterstorff.
Sure. Dwayne Wolterstorff, Director 2 of Business Services. So this is the audit, and it's incorporated in our annual audit of the entire district, but part of that is this is commingled into the district as a whole, and it's the transactions of the debt service payments on these bonds, and they will, the last debt service payment will be June 1st of 2027. And then there are a few other costs like consultants and things like that that we have to pay in association with this, the trustee and things like that. So those are the items that we're talking about, the audit of those items that are actually incorporated in the whole audit of the district.
Thank you.
Are there any? Okay, well, do we have a motion to approve those? Okay, motion by Trustee Brown, a second. Second by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? All right, not seeing any. We will adjourn as the Modesto City Schools Joint Powers Authority and reconvene as the Modesto City Schools Board of Education. All right. Okay, that moves us on to B6, our approval of the first reading of board policies, BP 6146.1 and BP 6147 on high school graduation requirements. Mr. Mike Rich.
Thank you very much, President. So tonight, we're going to go over these board policies. Normally, we don't do a presentation with board policies in AR. You'll see here why we're doing that specifically. So we're gonna review the past action that the board's already taken in regards to this. We're gonna look at the board policies that relate to that past action, and then we'll make some recommendations and kind of outline the next steps. Really pivotal to this work that we're doing today, you know, our vision says every student graduates. It's tough to say they can graduate without defining what a graduate is, and that's really what this board policy does. It sets the course of study for what a graduate of Modesto City Schools is. So that's the important part and where that falls in with our vision. obviously falls right in line with, excuse me, with goal 1 on how do we increase and maintain the academic achievement and the college and career readiness of our students. So just a reminder, on December 11th, almost exactly 1 year ago, the board, approved and voted on a change for the graduation requirement. So I just want to make sure we go over what that vote, what you did. So we added a 5 units or a 1 semester class of ethnic studies in the 9th grade. With that, we moved world geography religions, which has in the past been a graduation requirement. We moved it to the elective categories. We removed 5 units of practical art from the graduation requirement. And then we also removed 5 units of elective credits just to get us to a 220 and a round semester number as opposed to 225. So went from 230 to 220. That you've already voted on, that's already been approved. These board policies codify the decision that you've made and what the graduation requirements are in a course of study. There's also some accompanying ARs and some exhibits that we use to show what these graduation requirements are. So along with that, in these several BPs and ARs, you'll see the comprehensive high school. That's what we just went over, but we need to make some, and we're proposing some changes to the continuation high school that are very similar to the ones that we just did for the comprehensive high school graduation requirements, as well as adult ed. So this chart here shows, again, what you've already voted on, the previous on the left, the updated on the right, the changes highlighted in green. So you'll notice ethnic studies added in there, practical art going to 0, electives going to 60 from 65. What we just said, only in a table format. What we're proposing for continuation high school graduation requirements in BP 6146.1, very similar. You'll notice the world geography religions move to an electives spot where ethnic studies takes that 5-semester course, and decreasing the electives by 10. There was already no practical art requirement on the continuation high school. So this moves it from 200 to 190 for the continuation high school diploma. Very similar, very analogous to what we just saw that you've already approved on the comprehensive high school. For adult ed, we're proposing that we take it to the state minimums. And the rationale for that is there's some new language that you'll also see, we'll talk about this here in a second, that allows a local school district in the junior and senior year, depending on the situation of a student, to take away the district graduation requirements down to the state minimum. And so we feel like in an effort to increase the opportunity for our adult ed graduates, that we'll take those down to the state minimum. So the green changes there represent what a state minimum would be, including the new ethnic studies requirement, which had not been around before for adult ed. Some of that updated language that you'll see also in this BP and AR has to do with migrant or newcomer students. So new law passed if they transfer in after their second year of high school, so usually that's their junior or senior year, they can be exempt from district-specific graduation requirements if the superintendent or designee identifies or determines that they can't meet the full graduation requirements. They would still receive a comprehensive high school diploma. This would not be an adult ed, this would not be continuation, it would be the full comprehensive high school diploma. There are other student groups that already meet this. The law added in the newcomer piece. So we already have this in place for foster students or homeless students. So you'll see that language in there together. I just wanted to point out that specifically the newcomer or migrant student was added to that in this recent legislation. So the BPs you have before you today, there are 2, 6146.1 and 6147. There is 1 accompanying AR and there are 2 exhibits. We are recommending that we delete the 6146.1.A exhibit. It is identical to the 46, and we're not sure why there were 2 in there to begin with, but they're exactly the same. So there's no reason to have both of them in there. You'll also notice the language in there. There's quite a bit of red as you look through these, and it's to align better with the CSBA guidance. Particularly, we had listed our credits in kind of a table view, where the CSBA listed theirs more in a written kind of bulleted, numbered list. So we kind of went with that. So you'll see that's why they're crossed out, and then we've placed them all together where they were kind of separated in the BP prior to that. So tonight's just a report on this, the first read rather, excuse me, the first read. So this would be the time that if we have some specific questions or whatever, that we could go over those. Just the next steps after we do this is in the January meeting, these will come forward for the actual approval, and we'll implement the changes for this year, except the ethnic studies course as we've planned. We're piloting that right now. You'll actually hear about that at the next board meeting. But the other requirements would go into effect this year, and then the ethnic studies would go into effect next year with the incoming 9th grade class. And that's all I have. Turn it back over to you, President.
All right. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll take comments from the board. We'll start with Trustee Marks.
I'm still passionate about world religions, and because we're deleting 10, and I know we voted on this in December, I believe I voted no on it. And so as we look back at it, I know it's frustrating, but I believe that just as I'm looking at our world right now and where we are, I still believe that having world religions is extremely beneficial. Now, we had a whole lot of teachers and parents and community members come and talk at the meeting when we voted on this. And it's 10 units. If we add back that and an elective, just an elective, it would put back 10 units, and that's it. So first I wanted to ask if we could do that. And it's on the updated one. So we had previously 230, and then we knocked off 10, so it was 220. So this would be putting it back to 230, and we'd still keep world religions, and they'd get an extra chance to have an elective. So I don't know what the timing is or how that means it, but world religions could be in any course with the elective in that year.
So just as a friendly reminder, as you dialogue about Trustee Mark's comment, world religion is still in schools. It is an elective. They can choose to take it. What Trustee Marks is asking for it to be a requirement. The reasoning we reduce the number of units for students is particularly for our EL students that aren't reclassified, that are in ALD courses that are required to take that course. So looking to provide some options for those students that are already locked into ALD courses. And that was the reasoning behind and the justification for taking it from a 230 to a 220. That was just a kind of a history lesson.
Thank you,
All
I
right.
appreciate that. Okay, now wait, just
Okay,
before we do
yeah.
that, okay, I had a couple more, just
Sure,
hold on.
go ahead.
Okay, so it's up to the board if we decide to do that or not. But I also looked at the adult ed, and we reduced that English by 10 units. And I really believe that adult education, it would be really helpful because whatever job someone's going to get, it would be helpful if they had as much information about English and writing and being able to be proficient, and it gives them an extra semester to be able to do that, or 2 semesters, I guess. So I wanted to put that back. Now it goes from, right now we're taking a whole lot out. So we're taking, I don't know, I didn't add up how many, but 25 units out, and this would add back 10. So I felt like it would be helpful for the adults in our area to have the extra opportunity to take English in that environment, to be able to be extremely proficient at it, if that was a struggle for anybody, because I know I have family members that have struggled with that, and it's nice to be able to have an opportunity to still have an extra time for it. So that was my second option. And I have the spot to put it back in if we choose to do that in the board policy. That's
Okay.
mine.
Yes, all right. Trustee Lopez.
Thank you. Under kind of a similar line, I struggle with the rationale of you, Mike. You mentioned when we took it out, we moved from 65 to 60 with elective. Yeah, and that was five units. For continuation high school, we're removing 10, and so
Sorry, we also removed the 5 for practical art. That's the 10 from the comprehensive high school.
right. But for practical art wasn't even on the continuation, so we're taking something that's already not there. So you're taking 10 directly from electives, and I know there had been. Well, we want CTE to flourish, and I wonder if to be an option as well. So I wonder if instead of taking those 10 units, that we can boost it up while boosting up our CTE as well, so that that there's we promote better, so that one part of that elective work is some CTE coursework embedded into that programming.
So there is a CTE requirement. You'll see that already. A student can fulfill either with VAPA, CTE, or world language, and that's per state code, per ed code. So there is already kind of a CTE one in there.
So yeah, so I would say, is there any way to maybe add numbers to credits into that section then? Because I wouldn't, you're talking about comprehensive high school has 220 currently. That's about 30 points less, or 30 units less than our continuation. And so I know there's a difference, but it's starting to look stark. And so I would definitely not want those 10 units to go away. I don't know how we can find an innovative substitution of those elective coursework that we'd be missing out. So maybe it's not in elective work, but something else that we're still giving our students, because one thing is graduation with the tools and requirements for them to be successful. And so I think that we don't want them to go without having those opportunities embedded into our graduation requirements. Thank you.
All right, Trustee Brown.
Yes, as I look at the reduced number of graduation credits, something comes to mind as a question. So I want to make sure that I'm understanding. So for migrant students and students experiencing homelessness, it sounds like the state is allowing them to graduate and not have to have some of the district mandated courses?
That is correct, as
So
long
that means
as,
they would graduate with fewer credits at a comprehensive high school?
so that's currently in place.
Okay,
The only thing that the law changed was it added newcomers to that list of students that would qualify for that.
okay, all right. So then the other thing that I'm looking at, I hear comments about reducing the number of total credits from our graduation requirements. I'm wondering, sounds to me like the reasoning behind these changes is to broaden our sweep a little bit and help us reach some students who are close to graduating but don't quite have enough credits. Is that what we're attempting to do here?
I definitely think this will bring graduation to students who haven't had that opportunity, but it also has to do with what Dr. Noguchi was saying in regards to providing opportunities, more opportunities for our students who have some required classes they have to take, and opening that up a little bit so that they can take some electives and find some interest outside of just the core academics they have to take.
Okay, I can appreciate that. The fact that we have so much ability to use our data, I would love to see some numbers before we have the final vote on this, projecting how many more students we could graduate and have them finish successfully so that they can move on and not be without the graduation. And then I'm also looking at the change in the total number of units for our adult ed program. I've seen both at Elliott and at our adult ed, our numbers of graduates seem to be increasing every year. I'd like to know, looking back, how many more we could have graduated with the reduced requirements. And is that going to help us overall with our graduation percentage? Is it going to help us motivate people who are feeling like they just don't have enough credits to graduate? They're not ever going to be a high school graduate. You know, what can we accomplish with these reduced number of credits in some of our programs?
Our adult ed graduates do not count towards our graduate number. Yeah, so.
I understand that.
So it wouldn't change necessarily. The adult ed, what we're doing is just helping the community as best we can for them to have a diploma that they can go out in the workforce and have that. So that would be our intent there. There's absolutely no effect to our data or our reporting for adult ed.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but looking at the numbers of the adult ed completions, we've seen huge increases. It seems like this last year we doubled the number from the previous year. And the previous year we had more than doubled what we had in the year before that. So we're being very effective in reaching out and including a large number of the public. How many more would we be helping to reach that graduation point? Do we have anything that tells us just what this change might do to the numbers going forward? And I realize that doesn't affect our graduation percentages, but gosh, the more we can incentivize our people who are in the community without a high school diploma, it's going to help employment. It's going to help the importance of education within the families that affects. Example of parents who graduate. I see in the faces of the people we hand diplomas to at that adult graduation, what an accomplishment this is for them and what it's doing for their self-confidence and their ability to assist people within their own households with the importance of gaining an education. So I want to feel what these changes might do for our community and for our students.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Irvin.
So basically with the reduction in the credits, we're still within the state guidelines, which is 220, right?
The state guideline is actually 135. That is the state minimum is 135 credits, and the districts are allowed to add credits on top of that.
Okay, add the credits on top of that. Okay, I knew that. Yeah, so I'm just, and same thing with the adult education as well.
Yeah, so what we're proposing is that adult education go to the state minimums.
Goes to the state.
That we take it down to what Trustee Brown said about opening that window up to a lot more people.
Okay, that makes sense. And what does PE look like for adult ed?
Yeah,
Zero
can't-
and now 20.
I can't answer that, but it is a state minimum requirement, so there is ed code language around a waiver. If a student after their 10th grade year, they can be provided a permanent waiver for PE, so that's probably what would happen for some of those. And that's in place for all students, not just adult ed. That's currently what was available.
Okay, okay. So we do have adult ed, oh, well, I guess we will have adult ed students participating in PE. And where would they do that?
I don't have the answer to that.
There's a program in the state that allows you to do a personal physical
Yeah.
education program, and then you do it yourself, and then you turn it in for PE. That's probably likely what's gonna
What would happen.
So they can go to Planet Fitness or somewhere and do
Yeah.
PE? Okay. All right, okay. So, you know, I'm just trying to balance, you know, with Trustee Marks and President Maestas in terms of, you know, how do we, you know, is there a possibility to make things work for the better for students, you know? With that being said, but also when we're going down to 220, it looks like a little load is being, you know, taken off students versus from, even though it's only 10 credits, from 230 to 220. And so, you know, carrying the heavy load of post-COVID, you know, might do some good. So that's all.
All right, thanks. Vice President Mejia.
Yes, I currently agree. I think the less credits is gonna provide more opportunity for students, and we gotta think of the overall, we serve, you know, 15,000 students, and we gotta think, but also what, at least in my perspective, if a student has a desire to do more, that's why we have dual enrollment, that's why we have those. There's no limit. A student can do 150, 160, they can get an AA degree if they wanted to. So the desire, the willingness of those students that have the capabilities and they want to do it, great. But we want to have the maximum opportunity for small students to get into the workforce. And sometimes this diploma is opening that door of opportunity. So I'm not saying, I'm 100% in agreement that it's going to give us more graduates, but also the students that want to do more, they can, we're not limiting them. That's what I feel like this will do. Those that want to, go ahead. The doors are there. Go ahead. Go away. Do whatever. Do as much as you want. Get 2 degrees, whatever. But we want to give the opportunity for those students. And as we get those new generations that are coming in. And also, I just know as an English learner, you're always going to be an English learner. So you're always going to continue to learn in the workplace and all that. And sometimes the English that you're going to learn in school is probably not going to be as relevant as the place of your work English that you need to learn. So I find that in a strike balance, we want to serve the most amount of people, and I feel like this is the way, and we're kind of aligning with the state. So I'm in agreeing with this, not to mess with it. And I also know most universities, for some of our universities, don't even ask for PE. So there's some other things that universities don't ask for that, and we want our students to do that. So there's some other things that could happen, but I just feel like this is the best path moving forward for at least for the community that we serve. If we're really thinking about them and their futures, I think this is some good changes from that perspective, and not taking away all those students that want to do more. Hey, go at it. Hey, do all that you want, and there's no limit to that. So let's just keep that in mind as we make this decision.
All right. Trustee Daly.
I have some curiosity questions, but then first I want to go back to the waiver for PE for individuals 10th grade and above. Then what happens to those units?
So it's, the waiver is after the 10th grade, just to make sure that's clear. And the current state law is every student has to have 400 minutes of PE every 10 days. So that actually is in effect all 4 years of their high school career. So oftentimes students get those in their freshman and sophomore year. So many of these adult ed students probably have PE already, and it won't be a big deal, right? They would have gotten it when they were in high school. But the state waiver allows for the school district to waive that requirement, so they wouldn't need those units.
So then it would drop it down to 115.
Yeah, I mean, technically, the state requirement is, the minimums in all these, and it's not the number, it's the courses. And so this is the one course that the state has said, we're gonna allow a waiver for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the curiosity question is I understood that we were kind of setting the bar at a certain point and expecting and hoping and with encouragement, we were going to achieve that higher bar, not necessarily lower the bar to something different. So there's some of this I agree with and some of it that I think we could probably step up a little bit, like adding English or maybe adding at least 10 more units to the adult ed. I like the CTE idea from Trustee Lopez for the continuing ed as well. I mean, that, to add a little bit to that. So I also like the idea of adding in, especially with the state of the world today, adding that religions course back in, because we need to understand that. But I do have some real concerns about like that two different types of communication. One of the reasons we changed the college and career ready was because of that. You want to set the bar higher, but then here we're making the statement that we're setting the bar lower. So that's probably more rhetorical questions than anything else. Thank you.
All right.
So I do want to add on the continuation high school, Trustee Lopez, where you see the electives, there's 30. In that 30, they can also do CTE as well for the CTE pathways that are currently at Elliott. So that's an area that if you wanted more CTE, or if you wanted to do VAPA and CTE, there's ways of doing it there.
Go ahead if you want to make a comment on that. I was going to make a comment on that, but you can go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say yes. I think if it's embedded, if it's called out, I think, and more than anything, I think that where we are at, I would like to keep us at 200, right? And so, however we can fluctuate that extra 10 credit union, and I echo what Trustee Brown mentioned. I would like to see that data that you mentioned as well, and making the decision because, yeah, I would not want those 10 overall. I wouldn't want those 10 credit units to go away. If not, find an innovative way to add to their schooling experience so that they are prepared to go to college and the workforce.
Thanks. I have a couple of questions and then I have a couple of comments just to see if we can think about. And so my first question is, the guidelines to the personal financial literacy law have been now revealed to us and what that's going to be. And I read through the law the other day, and I read through those guidelines. And one of the pieces in that law says that a student can take personal financial literacy and have that exempt them for the economics requirement for graduation.
That is correct. So when I said PE is the only exemption, currently that is the only exemption. When personal finance comes in 29, 30-ish, then that would also have an exemption for economics.
But that exemption starts now. As I read in the law, if a school district has a personal financial literacy course already that fulfills the requirements, a student can use that for their economics requirement.
I'll have to look back on when they say that actually takes effect.
Okay, I believe that's immediately, so
I'll have
take
to
a look at that. Just because I think we want to put, I don't know if we offer a course already, I don't know if we do, but if we did out there, then we want to like economics / personal finance right now, because that would be able to take any of those. The reason I bring this up is because I wonder, does that law include, that's all of high school for a graduation requirement, so that would include adult education?
Yes, I believe the personal finance also will change adult ed. It'll change the state minimums, which would
which will
affect
be part of
everything.
that. So here's a comment, I think, is having PE, one, I think that's a really good idea for adult ed to have some physical education. But also having personal finance in there, I think is going to be a really important piece for our adult education. There is a huge issue that we have in our country with personal finances. And so I think having in there, that's something to look at way in the future, so I'm not worried.
Correct.
I'm not really saying that's going to be an issue, but what I do want, I guess, us to keep in mind is that's going to be a requirement. We're going to have to vote on, we're going to have to bring that in within the next, I believe it's 4 years. So that's going to add 5 units to graduation.
Well, except if it's if a student can take that instead of econ, there's some question around what that does to the econ class. So there's still, I think, some language to be hammered out there at the state level on how that's going to affect that. But we currently offer a financial literacy class. It's a full year class. But the econ's only a 5-unit or only a semester course. So there's some questions around how that's going to work from a master scheduling standpoint that we'll have to clear up.
Okay, so it's not necessarily going to be added 5, because I was thinking we add 5 and then the world religions. I mean, it's something to think about in the future to see how. My opinion is that we don't change too much right now. If we've just added in ethnic studies and we take out world religions and we put it in as our elective as we have now, see how that works in a few years. If we start to see that there is an issue with our students, that we really do want that back, how that fits with personal finance, I think we need to give it a little bit more time than putting it all back in, because I think that really is going to set us up for an issue that I think we have. This is my next question. I'm not sure if the data shows this or not. Do we have an equity issue in this case when we have ELs that cannot meet our graduation requirements that end up having to go to our continuation high school because they can't graduate because they are forced by state law to take ALD courses until they test out? I've already seen cases where students are in. I mean, you only have so many classes you can take as a freshman. And if you have to then additionally add that on, you're not getting to take music. You're not getting to take art. You're not, and then if you get an F in one class, then if you can't make it to summer school because you have to work for your family, I see an equity issue there.
So the work around changing those, that we brought last year to this board meeting where you approved those graduation requirements was about a 3-year process. And that is one of the outcomes that they realize is that's why we need to change them. Now, it is possible, so I don't want to say they can't graduate. It is possible, but just like you said, maybe they can't take the VAPA that they want to take, or if they fail a class, then their schedule gets super tight and they've got to find some other way. So the intent of doing this, again, last year when you approved it, was for that reason.
Yeah. So I see it as not necessarily lowering the bar, but making it attainable for a lot of kids that can't attain it right now. Now is my question about something to think about for the continuation high school. I really question 30 units of math, like 30 credits of math. Our students that are going to go to continuation school are not going to need to, I'm going to use the terminology because I know this, they're not going to need to simplify a rational expression, find the asymptotes of a rational function. Like, they're not going to do that. What they need is practical skills and the requirements in mathematics that are going to get them to be problem solvers and thinkers when they get out of school. And that's not Algebra 2 in its form right now. I work with a continuation high school. We created a course that aligns with the first 2 courses, the standards of the first 2 courses, and embeds personal financial literacy mathematics within that. The students do stuff with construction mathematics. They do stuff with real skills that you're going to use in mathematics, and that is not Algebra 2. So I don't think we need 30 credits in math. I think we need 20. And to Trustee Lopez's point, I would not mind to see 20 in math and 20 in CTE, to attract students to take CTE, or I just don't think we need 30. I think 20 is sufficient.
So the state minimum for math is 20, so
Right.
there wouldn't be a problem from that standpoint. Saying specifically that we have to require 20 units of CTE, I'm not sure at this point that we would be able to handle all of that, because remember, continuation, this is just Elliott, right? So
Right.
I'm not sure we have enough CTE courses for every Elliott kid to go through multiple years of that. So that would put a real strain on them graduating, because we don't have a system that could support that.
Well, would it be VAPA, CT, or languages, like all three of them together? We still wouldn't have enough to support that?
It would be tight. Now, again, they can take those under the electives, right? We can just say electives instead of saying CTE.
Okay.
The other thing you need to consider is the programs that are offered at Elliott. There's not a wide variety of CTE programs over there. Now, we're building some programs. We've got, I don't know exactly what we have over at Elliott, but we've got a health academy. We're going to have construction, solar. What if there's a student that doesn't want either one of those, but yet to graduate from there, they're forced into that because it's a requirement. So I think that there's a total of 3, maybe only 2. So that's something that we'd need to think about and consider.
Yeah, and I realize that the credits are lower because these are continuation high schools when students are quite deficient from credits. The comprehensive high school does not work for them. They're already coming in with huge deficiencies in credit. So to have them get to 220 is not realistic. I would personally, everyone, I would not mind this being at 180 with 20 in math. I just really don't believe that students need to be taking 33 years of math at a continuation high school. Having worked with students in continuation high schools, having worked with students, and having worked in high school mathematics for the number of years, I
would
think
say
it still prepares them for college and career. I don't think we're going to be hurting anybody. Like, I actually think it's going to prepare them a little bit better and give them more confidence.
I would say math is probably one of the biggest roadblocks to students not graduating. So you saying, hey, lowering that would probably provide them with more opportunity to graduate.
Yeah, and I just want to make clear on the record, I am not asking to lower the bar. I'm asking to, one, we need to rethink what we're teaching our students in mathematics in the continuation high school to make them better prepared for college and career. But asking them 3 years, especially as we have it now, Algebra 2 that's not the course for them. It's just not. Okay.
So what I can say is I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate the input, but I need guidance on what to bring back because we're kind of all over the place. So I'd like to start first with the continuation high school and give guidance to what you'd like to see brought back, and then also with adult ed with what you'd like to see brought back. Continuation high school, I'm going to make the assumption that what we have here is we're going with that because that's what we voted on last year. We can bring that
Comprehensive.
back. That's what I meant, the comprehensive high school. So I'm going to need just some guidance, given this conversation, on what you would like to see for continuation and what you would like to see for adult ed.
Okay. So, how do you want us to do that? Like a vote? I know it's not a motion because we're not approving the whole thing, but
so I would
each
look
piece.
first at, let's say, look at continuation high school and first have a dialogue around the level of comfort you are with the number of credits. And then once you can land on the level of credits, how would you like those credits divvied up? Same thing with adult ed, the level of comfort with what's proposed here. And if there's some change in that, then you could look at how you're going to make those up.
Okay. Can we just go really quickly? If you have a statement to make on this, we'll just go around this way.
So
Yeah,
let's
we're
first
just
start
gonna-
with continuation. So
We're
let's
gonna,
just
we're gonna
break
do
it up.
continuation and just your quick thoughts if you like it the way it is or you want any changes.
I would like it to stay at the 190 if that's what we're going to do. I wouldn't want it to go any lower than that. I understand the math piece, but maybe that's the piece that we can move to electives to make the electives 40 again.
Okay, so I think it's change math to 20, move electives to 40, keep 190. That's daily. Okay, Brown? Trustee Brown?
First, a question, is there a state minimum for continuation?
The state minimum is the same for every graduation plan,
And that is,
the 135, what adult ed
okay,
looks like.
all right. So I think if I have no problem with reducing the math requirement, but I'd like to see some practical course requirement and like change some of the math to a practical math course as opposed to the traditional math course.
I think that's something that they can look into after we've approved the 20, but that's a good idea for them.
And continuation has the 5 credits of economics, and then there was the practical, what was the course that is emerging now?
Personal finance.
So if we could see something with personal finance there, I think that's,
We'll have to bring that back.
Okay.
That law just passed in the last legislative session, so we have 4 years to implement that.
Okay,
That will
got
come
it,
forward
got it.
at some point.
okay. So anyway, I like the direction we're going. I think that your proposal of reducing the requirement on math is great, but I would question whether we need to drop below that 190
Okay.
in required credits.
Okay.
But if we can relax math, I think that's a real strong indicator that we'd see more success.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks.
Same here, as long as we revisit the math to make it more practical for the population that we're serving, always that. And I could stay at 190, I could go lower. Depends on how best fits the student population that we serve, because that's what we're about, serving that student population. So
All right.
I'm also 190 or below, but depends on how we structure math.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'd like to see it stay at 190, do practical math, maybe those, the 10 units be personal finance and practical math.
Okay.
Something like that.
Great. Trustee Irvin? Anything? Nope? I got him.
The difference, I'm still perplexed by that, those 20,
PE credits?
yeah,
Okay.
20 PE credits and the 30 electives. I don't know, trying to see, find balance.
What's that mean?
All right.
What's that mean?
It's like, okay, are we overdoing it with the PE credits and the electives? I agree with with everything in the math, but again, I'm just trying to figure out those 30, actually 50 credits. You add those two, 20 PE and 30 electives.
It's likely that those 20 PEs, they're already coming in with those 20 from their comprehensive high school.
So we're just talking Elliott with continuation, and we
Yeah.
do offer PE. We got PE teachers at Elliott. Kids take PE every day at Elliott right now.
Okay.
All right.
That's not a change.
Okay. Trustee Lopez?
I would not want to go under 190. If we talk about practical math, I can see that you talked about some variations of it that you've implemented in the past. Would definitely love to see that being brought up as an opportunity, and so we can move around the numbers, but I would not want to see it under 190.
Yeah, me either.
All right, so it sounds like the direction is that we take math to 20 and move those 10 to electives to make that electives 40 and keep the proposal at 190.
Understood.
Yeah, go ahead.
But we're not taking the 10 and putting it in but the electives will have to do with math. They have to do with personal finance or practical math. That's what I heard everybody say.
Right.
Well, we can't do that right
we
now, but
can't.
that's
No,
something
like-
as we look forward
Okay, as
to
a summary,
changing
okay.
those courses so that they align to something more practical.
So that
Yeah.
would mean that in the future, we would come back and add 10 back to math when we have.
I know, that's
Or
fine.
or that second year of math is connects to the standards and is practical in its implementation.
Right, but then later on, we'll have personal finance to incorporate that, and that would be under what?
Yeah, and that one is
Special
particular, not a math course. That is a personal finance course. So if you have something like a personal finance that is mathematics based, that could go under math. But this personal finance course is that's proposed by the state is not a math course. It could be taught by a math teacher or a social studies teacher or something else. It's got some other guidelines,
Yeah.
but it
It's
doesn't have
kind
to
of
be
its own
math-based.
category, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's its own thing. But we'll come back to that in a few years.
Next
when-
couple years.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm hearing. It's keeping it at 190, going to 20 credits for math. Now, as we develop a practical math course, that's in a collaborative effort next year. Right now, we'll just go with the 20, knowing that we're going to be building that the next year. By the time practical math comes on to play, we can share what we've developed for practical math in addition to the personal finance, which then would come back and move some of the electives out into that personal finance. Does
Yes.
you guys
That sounds good.
follow that bouncing ball?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
But one thing I would say about the practical math is that if we can tie it directly to the CTE courses that they're learning, mathematical applications to those programs would be a great way to move at Elliott.
And
Understood.
the
Yeah.
CTE programs at Elliott are graphic design, construction, and patient care, which is health. So those are the three.
So
Now,
there's,
that's not going to encompass everyone's interests, but certainly there's something for many.
And the way that it goes by, do you go by 6 or 8 weeks rotations?
8.
For,
at Elliott,
it's a 9, not semester, 9-term system at Elliott. So it's every 6 weeks-ish is a new
Every
term.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
So you can tailor the course for every 6 weeks to each of those things. Yeah.
We'll bring that back.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so let's go to adult ed. Right now, the proposal is 135. I don't know, does anybody have any changes to that? We'll go by list here, because this one, I'm not sure everyone has any changes. Trustee Brown?
truthfully, with adult ed, I'm very comfortable with the state minimum, the 135 number, to make sure that we can reach as many people in the community as possible.
All right. Trustee Marks?
Yeah, this one I thought it would be helpful if we still had 40 units of, or 40 credits of English, but I'm not sure why we eliminated all of the electives. So as an adult, it's helpful to take electives to know what would I be good at in my next job. So the fact that we eliminated all of them, can they still take electives if they want to? It's not a requirement, but they could still take them. But would they know that? Would they be told you can also take a class in, we'll call it carpentry or whatever. I don't know what the electives are that we have that are available for adults, but it would be helpful if it was something practical.
Most likely, the adults, excuse me, that are attending already have electives. So they're not just
Okay.
coming at us out of
Oh, that's
nowhere.
right. They
They've
come out
already
from
been
high
through
school.
high school. So they're going to have some credits in there. We're just not going to hold them accountable to having as many as, we had before. But they'll still have, credits that they accrued when they were a student in, a comprehensive high school.
So tell me, maybe I'm not understanding this, but I know adults who come back and go back to get an education in their 30s. So, and they didn't make it through high school and they wanted to go back. They didn't want a GED, but they're going to go back and get something. So is that the kind of student that we have in adult ed? I'm not
Yes.
familiar with the program. Okay.
Anybody that could not enroll because of age at a comprehensive high school would be adult ed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That helps me understand.
Or those students like in English, the Language Institute that age out of the institute.
Right.
That was primarily the reason 7 years ago why we built this large adult ed program, because folks that aged out, because we changed the board policy, they had the opportunity to be able to work in this program and still have a comprehensive diploma.
So that's why I really want the English, is because I know there's a struggle with reading and writing in English, which I think almost every job you get, unless you're in a single language job that's not English, you would have to be able to read and write in English. And so, I just see it as an important value to help adults be proficient in it. As I said, I have a relative, this was a struggle. And so to have that extra opportunity and extra ability to get it through, because we used to have it at 40 units and now we've reduced it, or we're suggesting reducing it to 30. So I would just like to keep it at that. So I might be the only one that thinks that.
The students that come to adult ed, do they transfer credits when they're like from high school?
Yes.
So, if they've taken 3 years of English at high school, then that they won't have to take any English in adult ed.
With the current proposal, correct.
Okay.
But currently, they would need a fourth year.
Okay. All right. So the fourth year of English is is it ERWC here?
It could be
Or creative
ERWC,
writing?
or it could be, like or just like a CP English class. But ERWC is one of the main things we do. I can't speak to that at adult ed, if that's what we do. I'd have to find that out specifically.
Yeah, I feel like the high school English requirements, ELA requirements up to 11th grade are pretty robust. So if somebody does those 3 years, it's pretty it's a lot of work. And so there's a lot of reading and writing involved in that. So the fourth year, I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but I understand what you're saying.
Just thinking of some of those students that I saw come in here that needed an extra year of English because they needed it, because they came here when they were in 9th grade or 10th grade, and they only had 4 years to learn English, and they were struggling. And so for them to have an opportunity to go to college, they wanted to have an extra year so they could learn English, so they could do well in it. So that's why I just looked at it as, can we stay in another year or two? So, but they were aging out, they aged out, and so they couldn't. And so that's why the adult ed was such a big deal at the time. So that's where my heart is. I want to give them extra opportunity to be able to learn English, to be able to be proficient, to be able to do whatever they were desiring to do. They came with passions, and that's what I wanted to give them, that opportunity. But I understand we all have different views and we all have a different way of looking at things. So I totally get it. And you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Okay, thanks. All right, so I'm hearing the majority is. Do you want to go all the way? Go ahead.
I'm good with the 135.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with 135.
Lopez.
I mean, I think it's hard because at first thought, you know, like most likely folks that are coming into these spaces, they already have jobs, they already have a family. Maybe I'm generalizing here. Yeah, and so, but at the same time, there's GED courses. And so if someone's coming to an adult school to get a high school diploma, they want some resemblance of what it takes to get that endeavor. And so there's other, like for example, if I was up in Sacramento, I would be like, why are we requiring PE for adult ed, right? Put those 20 courses to use, because you're really just asking for 115. And we have this assumption that they have already done some coursework. We have this assumption that they were fully engaged when they left high school. And so, and that may or may not be the case. And so that elective work could, as Trustee Marks mentioned, could be could be in their desire because they want to grow in something. They want to try something new. They want to see where this takes them. They want to take that time to actually have that elective work experience. We don't know, but and so that's why I go back and forth. But I mean, I would be okay with the 135. But if I'm really honest, I'm like, I would rethink about that PE. I know it's it's California it's California law. So, but so I would be okay with keeping 40 English, and I could possibly be okay with keeping 30. It's like, it's just hard because it's a population of our community that is hard to, I mean, it's easy to identify, but it's hard to gauge what they're here in the school, in adult ed to come to do, right? And so for that reason, I'm like, I have mixed feelings on both ways. So I probably wasn't of any
It
help.
doesn't sound like we're getting
moving
any
forward.
closer to a decision here. Okay, we have one more left, and then we'll go around, any more comments. Go ahead. Yeah, you're the last one.
So I'm okay with 135, and also just going back to where's the population that we're serving, and what is the goal? I mean, we're trying to put a diploma in their hand, and if we add additional stuff, we are actually putting barriers to less people getting that diploma. So we just got to think that in mind as we do this decision. I'm over here. Cool. Let's not mess with it. But over here, I think if we change some of that, we are taking diplomas away from students because they're not. I mean, the majority. I mean, maybe we should resurvey that. Who are we actually serving? Are we serving 19, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, or are we serving families? Are we serving people that are already married and wanting to just get through the diploma so they move on, and they're not doing any of the other stuff. They could actually do it at MJC if they wanted to. I mean, they could go there's a bunch of English classes there, from just barely speaking to advanced courses. So they could do that if they really desire English after the basic, 135. Go ahead, go take a course at MJC and get it knocked out over there. We want diplomas in hands. Who are we serving? If we're serving young people, maybe, but if we're serving people with kids, they want to feed their kids. They want the diploma is maybe the only thing holding them back from a promotion at their job or the next step. At least that's my thought.
Okay. There's three people that want to talk. I don't know if we're any closer. I think we're getting closer, but Trustee Irvin.
Let's say comment. So one of my best friends went through adult education to get his high school diploma. Family man, three children, full-time job, all of those things. He dropped out of high school, and so it's not just about English, because we can't assume everybody's an English learner. I mean, well, everybody is an English learner technically, but I'm saying is adding more onto an already challenging family, because I've been to the last two adult ed graduation. The majority of them are family folks, got families and, children and things like that. And I think if we pile more on, not to use it as a negatively, but put more on the plate when they're trying to accomplish a goal that they were not able to accomplish during their high school years, might be a barrier. Might be a barrier for those that really want to get the high school diploma, because most of them had even attempted, maybe been in GED programs, but they want to be like their children. Some of them had children that have high school diplomas, graduated from high school, and they wanted to have the same thing. They didn't want the GED. They want a high school diploma. And I said, I think this is a good way to get there, but also recognizing their situation. They're not a traditional student. They are students that have a whole lot of responsibilities, and a lot of cases of the families I met that were getting, graduating from the adult education. And so how they eternalized that high school diploma meant something, than what a GED would mean to say maybe someone who's doesn't have a family, and they're just getting their GED just so they can just hurry up and get into the workforce. Where theirs is calculated. They gotta figure out the timing and all the stuff to be able to get that high school diploma. But I actually took a picture with a family that I believe it was the mother or the father that wanted to get with their children. They had children who graduated from one of our comprehensive high schools, and they wanted to get their high school diploma. So that makes them, in their eyes, equal. I did what my children done, what I couldn't accomplish for whatever reason back then. So that's why, more is not always good in this instance.
All right. I think we're coming around to something. Trustee Brown.
What I like about the discussion that we're having is that we're looking at individuals, and each of the people that are involved in the adult education program come for different reasons and different set of circumstances. Some of them are the newcomers that need the extra English. And the way that education is delivered is not in a traditional program where they sit at a desk and have a teacher for an hour a day. They're going to be able to select and do whatever meets their personal criteria for a high school diploma. And so I think that this 135 is kind of a magical number that will give the most people the opportunity, and those that really want that extra English, it's available to them and can be included in their program. So I would suggest that we hold to the 135 and make sure that we have a broad offering of course material that will meet the needs of every one of our students. I think we have that now, and I'm amazed with just visiting that program and the people that are helping people through, the passion that they share with them is what drives the numbers. And if it's achievable for everyone who wants it, let's create the opportunity so they can be successful.
All right. Thank you.
School diploma, it means something differently. You can check that box, high school diploma versus GED.
All right, Trustee Daly.
They don't ask you how many.
So I believe, back all the way up, I believe we need to have individual plans for every student. However, that's probably way too much work, so that's not gonna work. But I'm gonna advocate for the higher English, and the reason for that is I graduated from high school. I did all 4 years of English. I waited 14 years to go to college. I was not prepared for college, even though I graduated from high school. So to say that these students come in, these adults who are coming in, not necessarily, not graduating from high school, 20, 10, there's a wide range, 10 to probably 30 years after high school. I know one person who attempted 35 years, I think it was 35 or 40 years after high school. I know people now that still cannot read. I know, that there's a lot of situations where English is really important, and it's one of those things that skills, even math is really hard to remember long-term. If you're not using it, you are losing it. And we don't necessarily use English in the way that we need to in order to be prepared for college.
All right, thank you. And thanks for that rich discussion. I know it's taken a while, but this is really important. I think these are important decisions. I think you have direction for what to do next. So we're supposed to vote on, I believe this is for approval of the first reading. So I'm not quite sure how because the reading's going to be different once you go back and change it.
But, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think you just approve it with the recommended changes that you just gave us. That's how we did it in the past, correct?
But I don't think we're, like, I think what needs to happen is that there needs to be some changes, and then we need to see another reading, like, we need to see a first reading again. Go ahead.
So then, will we have to motion tabling this?
Yes.
I think that's what we're gonna have to do. So, do I hear a motion to table these board policies on graduation requirements? However, before we do that, I just want to say one more thing. What's our timeline for the, is there a way to motion to split so that we can approve something for the comprehensive high schools? Because this is effective for this graduation school year, and we don't want that to take too long because students need to, like, admin needs to get all this stuff ready.
That would be true too if we're gonna make a change for continuation as well as for adult ed.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to approve continuation at this point. We've got to bring language back. The question is, can you split agenda items? I don't believe that you can split agenda items. Have anyone seen that? I would defer to Trustee Marks, where I don't believe that you can split.
Yeah, I actually do not know. I have never seen it happen, so I don't have an experience on that. But I do, so I was trying to figure out, could we suggest the language tonight and just vote on it and then have it done?
And then bring it back,
So here's what I suggest that we do is voting on the continuation high school. We asked to have, just tell me what it was and I'll tell you where it is. And we can just add the language in right now and vote on it and up or down, and then you'll have your direction.
What I was hearing was that comprehensive high school is voting on the way it is.
Sorry, I meant continuation high
Yeah.
school. I meant to
Well,
say
I'm gonna do
continuation.
all three of them so that we know where we're at. Continuation high school, moving math to 20 units and 10 and then electives to 40.
Right.
And for adult ed,
Okay, wait, let me just find it, and let me do the, let me find the page, because I.
So that's on BP 6146.1C.
Yes.
The very last line, bullet 2, says
Bullet 2
3
would be
courses
math.
in mathematics. You want that to say 2.
2 courses in
Yes.
mathematics.
And then on BP 6146.1D, the last bullet, number 9, where it says earn a minimum of 30 elective units, you want that to say 40.
Yes.
Correct.
So how about, since we're going to vote, we can make a motion to vote on these separately right
Yes.
now. So I make a motion to vote on these separately.
All right, I hear a motion to vote on these separately by Trustee Marks, a second by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor to vote on these separately signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay, that motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so now, and then just a question for clarification. Are we going to do the continuation high school now? Is that right?
restate the motion.
That's fine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, we have to do, if we separated them, we have to do the
So you tell us which one you want to
comprehensive
do.
high school first.
Okay.
So, do I hear a motion to, okay. So there's a motion to keep the comprehensive high school as it stands in the board policy by Vice President Mejia. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Brown. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay?
Nay. 2 nays by Trustee Daly and Trustee Marks. Motion passes 5-2. Now we're going to vote on the continuation high school. Is there a motion to approve the language as it is with the changes as math for 20 credits and electives as 40 credits?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Vice President Mejia, second by Trustee Marks. All those in favor to approve the continuation high school in the board policy with the changes of 20 units for mathematics, or 20 credits for mathematics and 40 credits for electives signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. For adult education, do I hear a motion for adult education as written? Moved by Trustee Brown for, to approve as written, seconded by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor for the adult education and board policy as written signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay.
Nay?
3 nays, 4 ayes. 4 ayes were from Trustee Brown, Vice President Mejia, President Maestas, myself, and Trustee Irvin. And the nays were Trustee Lopez, Trustee Marks, and Trustee Daly. Yes. So that passes with a vote of 4-3. Okay. Thank you for your help, Trustee Marks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Just try to
There's-
save us
On
all
my
time.
day one.
Yes.
There's one more board policy that if you want to approve the first read, the only change to that was we just struck out secondary math 1 because we don't offer that course anymore and changed the credits from 230 to 220. So that is that's the second board policy you have there, 6146.1.
And that follows the comprehensive high school.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve BP 6146.1 with the corrections as outlined by Mr. Rich? Moved by Vice President Mejia, seconded by Trustee Brown.
I just have a question, and
yes.
it's okay.
Yeah,
Chair, may I please have a question?
Yes, question.
Mr. Rich, could you please state that again, what the changes were in this BP?
I apologize. I was quoting the AR. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
So the BP you have to approve is 6147.
Okay, that's, okay.
That includes, all that adds is the 1 semester of ethnic studies to the comprehensive. And then we changed the verbiage from foreign language to world language and included the career technical education into that VAPA world language career technical education. That's on 6147. I apologize.
All right, so that motion on the table doesn't do anything because it was,
Correct.
we already approved that in the previous one.
Yeah.
So we're actually looking at 6147.
There's just the 2 arrows, just the 2 changes. We added ethnic studies and then changed the verbiage from foreign language to world language. And it included the career technical education, just updating that to the current language, the current policy, the current.
Updating the current
practice.
language, okay. All right, so do we have a motion to approve BP 6147? Okay, motion by Vice President Mejia, second by Trustee Brown. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay, because of the D on it, but that's
Okay,
That's all
so
right.
2 nays, 5, that passes, motion passes 5-2. The nays were Trustee Marks and Trustee Daly. Okay, so now we move on to our first interim financial report for 24-25. We're just hitting the hits here, right? Okay, Mr. Zerly.
Thank you, President Maestas. Good evening, trustees. I'll do my best to be brief and shorten the presentation as much as possible. This is the outline of the presentation for the first interim report. It is a financial update since the June budget adoption, and then you can see the various assumptions that we use to get to where we are tonight. Our financial solvency in the district supports this vision of every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. And our budget is strictly aligned to Goal 4, and that is ensuring that the district is fiscally and operationally sound. Our financial budget is a continuous cycle of planning, updating, and reporting. Revisions are made to the initial budget monthly and are officially approved at first and second interim reporting periods. Our traditional annual reporting cycle has been revised recently to include quarterly internal monitoring views that will help us align our expenditures and with our first interim, second interim, and estimated actuals reporting cycles. This will help us ensure that we are appropriately progressing with planned expenditures throughout the year. Our budget is a guiding financial plan, is comprised of unrestricted and restricted funds. And although local control funding formula funds for supplemental concentration grants are unrestricted, they must be used to increase services for the students that generated the funds, and they are not supposed to be used to supplant base services from the local control funding formula. Restricted funds are received for specific purposes. Common classifications of restricted funds are Every Student Succeeds Act, Special Education IDEA, Proposition 28, and other state-funded and local-funded programs. Although this year's student enrollment is greater than projected, we continue to be funded on either the greater of prior year for elementary or the greater of 3 prior year average for high school. So currently at first interim, there is no change in projected average daily attendance at this time because we're using the prior year funded amount, and you'll see that in a graph coming up. We will continue to monitor improvement in student attendance percentages and update it needed at second interim or our estimated actual reporting periods. This slide represents the difference between actual attendance and funded attendance. Funded attendance is on the top. It's either the orangish or yellow line, depending on how it looks on your screen. And we use the attendance calculation that generates a funded ADA amount greater than actual ADA. And you'll notice one interesting thing about this chart, and you'll see it again on the high school, is in 21-22, or between 2021 and 21-22, the funded ADA is flat. We were held harmless, although there's a very deep drop in our actual ADA during the pandemic. We were held harmless, and so when we talk about which formula we're going to use, whether that's current year versus prior year, current year versus 3 prior year averages, it depends on the district and how we do that. But either way, we're going to choose the amount that generates more revenue for us between funded ADA and actual ADA. Same for the high school. You'll notice the hold harmless straight line on the orange bar is what we were able to be funded at, remain funded, although our attendance dipped drastically percentage-wise. It's bouncing back in 23-24, and hopefully as we progress through 24-25, that blue line will continue to move upward. Right now it's just a projection, and we'll see how that continues throughout the year. This is just a sample pie of our total general funds, how they come to us. The majority comes from the local control funding formula. We have federal revenue, state revenue, and local revenue that complete the pie. The local control funding formula COLA assumptions are based on the 24-25 enacted state budget in July, and that's represented on the first line, that is 24-25. And while actual COLA rates are determined by a national price index for state and local governments, they can differ dramatically from estimates made more than a year in advance. The current estimates for 25-26 is different from this slide, which represents back in July of this year. The current estimates for 25-26 is 2.46. So you can see back 6 months ago, it was 2.93. The projection still needs data from the fourth quarter of this year, 2024, and the first quarter of 2025 to become official. But these are the assumptions we're currently using when we talk about our multi-year projection, which is the current year plus 2 projection years. The total local control funding formula calculation for the elementary district is a little over $200 million and is significantly enhanced through supplemental concentration funds for the 87.66% unduplicated pupil percentage. These are students who are identified as English learners, free and reduced price meal program eligible, or foster youth. So those categories of students make up our unduplicated pupil percentage, and for the elementary district, it's 87.66% of our student population. The high school total funding amount through local control funding formula is almost $220 million, It does not have the same level of supplemental and concentration funds as the elementary district due to a lower percentage of unduplicated pupils, 69.3% for our high school district for the same calculation. These are other revenue adjustments that we're making. We did not know at the time back in June when we asked you to adopt the budget. We've now closed the books, so we know what our deferred revenue and prior year revenue are. These are unspent funds from the prior year that are now being put in our current year budget. $14 million are now planned to be spent this year. Increase in lottery funds, increase in transportation reimbursement, expanded learning opportunities program, increase in that, $4.9 million, increase in interest income. So what we're doing this year is we're making adjustments now at first interim in anticipation of end of year receipt of revenues. And so we hope to be able to, again, like we're doing on the expenditure side, is to more balance our projection to what's going to come in by the end of the year, and not have, not report large swings for interest income, lottery revenue, transportation reimbursement at our unaudited actual reporting periods. Same pie chart for general fund expenditures. Obviously, the majority of our budget goes to people, and you can see that in certificated salaries, classified salaries, and the benefits that are attached to those employee salaries. And then the rest of the makeup, 5% for books and supplies, 15% for other services and operating expenditures, capital outlay, and other outgo. So that's a makeup of our general fund expenditures. And these are assumptions that we have. Again, assumptions we did not know back in June when we built the budget. Is now we have employee salary and benefit projections. All of our staffing is complete, or the majority of our staffing is complete. And then also update of the special education projected contribution for our unrestricted revenue. Contract settlements are complete and now in the budget for CSCA and managers. School site staffing allocation adjustments for our first month enrollment counts of students are complete and included in our expenditure assumptions. And then carryover balances and deferred revenue I mentioned on the other slide. When we have deferred revenue, we budget that revenue. We have to budget the same expenditures for that deferred revenue from the prior year. And then one-time approved expenditures for this year are included in the 24-25 working budget. Multi-year projections are required by AB 1200 and are based on planned assumptions for revenue and expenditures. A district must have the ability to accurately reflect the net ending fund balance and maintain a required reserve for economic uncertainties. The long-term impact of our current decisions must be assessed and projected not only for this year, but 2 subsequent years. The result of our current multi-year projection determines if our district is certified as positive, qualified, or negative. These are some assumptions we make in our multi-year projection summary. Step and column costs of 1.5%. We assume that in out years that, and this is based on prior actual costs. We do remove one-time expenditures that are put in the budget. The thought is if they're one-time, they're going to be spent this year. We're not going to spend them in 25-26 or 26-27. We also remove any carryover or deferred expenditures. Again, we're assuming that that's going to be spent in the current year, and also impacting our 25-26 and 26-27 projections are COVID reductions that were approved by the board November 18th of 24. This is a summary of our unrestricted ending fund balance, and due to the current low local control funding formula COLA environment of just about 1%, in relation to the ongoing cost escalations. You saw in the last slide that just our step and column costs alone are 1.5%. So when we have a 1% COLA to our base rates, that does not generate enough funds to cover just our ongoing step and column costs. So because of that, low COLA environment, in the current year and projection years, the additional 3% for economic uncertainties, that has been in existence now for about 5 years, cannot be maintained in 26, 27. So you'll notice the last column in that chart, economic uncertainties, the highlighted line about a third of the way down, is about 35 million across, and then it goes to 18 million in 26, 27. But we do maintain our 3% required reserve. And then we also have, if you go to the bottom, that year, we also have an additional 3.81% that is uncommitted right now or unassigned. That's the 14.9 million, almost $15 million line right above it. So if you take that plus our 3%, even in the 26, 27 year, it's almost a 7% ending fund balance on the unrestricted side. So because of that, we have a positive certification. This multi-year projection shows that we can sustain our current year commitments and those commitments into 25, 26, and 26, 27. Next steps, we're awaiting the release of the 25, 26 governor's budget proposal. That'll come in January. And that begins the process for building the district's 25, 26 projected budget, which you will see in June of 2025. We will provide the board with an update of the governor's budget proposal and the impacts on our projections at the February board workshop. In addition to that, we will bring the plan for further one-time expiring COVID funds and the timeline for reductions associated with those expiring funds, and then any changes to the current and subsequent year assumptions will be updated during the second interim financial reporting period. Based on all those factors and assumptions included in this presentation and the packet in the board agenda, staff is recommending that the board approve the report with a positive financial certification for all funds. Back to you, President Maestas.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zerly. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none, any comments from the board? All right, Trustee Marks.
I just have a question. So as I'm looking at this, we are basically deficit spending. And so we have to be careful because we don't know. You said that the projection right now is 3.5% next year, or 2.5%? Was it 2?
Right now, when the state adopted their budget in July, it was projected to be 2.93%. Based on factors that we know, there's still 2 quarters remaining, but the estimates our consultants and economists are telling us is probably going to be in the 2.4% range. So again, that just shows the volatility of less than 6 months of the projections. It is based on aggregate factors of the national economy, but 2.4% is what they're telling us to project or to think it's going to be once those other factors are known.
And we're already, it costs us 1.5% to just keep functioning. As the costs go up, we still have to pay about 1.5%.
That's what we use. That's a standard increase for our employees. That's just for our employee step and column,
Right.
that they're guaranteed based on contract language. But we also have other cost increases that we have to absorb as well, just like a household has cost increases. We have cost increases that we have to absorb. And the only way we generate more revenue is by our base rates through the local control funding formula being increased with the cost of living adjustment.
So it's been a merciful by the government. It's been merciful by the government to continue to fund us at our other ADAs so that we aren't funded at the ADA that we are now. So is that going to kick in like next year or the year after? because the 3 years is up, what year do they, because they said a 3-year average, but are they moving it with us? Because we have that huge dip in 22,
Yeah,
23.
that moves. We're grateful for that because now it used to be the grader of current year or prior year. That was it. So if you were a declining enrollment or declining ADA district, you had 1 year of step down before you recognized the lower revenue. That still is in existence if that benefits the district, or you can use the grader of current year or the prior 3-year average. So that flexibility is still in, and we're using that for the elementary district, but the high school district is the grader of current year versus prior year. So we can choose whichever one benefits us at that time.
Okay, good, thank you.
Trustee Daly.
So if I'm understanding correctly, that our enrollment is going down, which means our funds are going to go down. So it's kind of like what Cindy was just talking about there.
Let me correct real quick, and I apologize. Our enrollment is not going down. What happened was our ADA dropped significantly coming out of COVID. Our attendance percentage was less than what we've seen pre-COVID, and that's what we get funded on. So that in a rare circumstance, you could have more students, but if your attendance decreases, you're going to get less funding. So I apologize if I was not clear on that.
No, I asked wrong because it clearly states right there that the ADA. So then the budget on page 20, the unrestricted ending fund balance, this is not counting, like you're talking about household increases. This is only counting step and column.
We do, if you talk, yes, we right now, our base, what we're projecting for future years is an increase to since employee costs are 76 to 80% of our budget. We want to make sure we capture that. So when we do projections, it's 1.5% is what we assume for employee increases in our budget. Right now, we don't have any other increases. Unless there's something in the current year that we've increased, then we keep that higher amount for the future years. But right now, we only assume increases for salary and benefits.
Just the step and column,
Just the
though,
step and column
not-
piece of that, yes.
Not necessarily, because
Not raises.
right, so it's important to give raises, but we also have to look at this piece, because like the last raise was a huge chunk. This raise that we've just did this year was a very large chunk of money that we can't continue to sustain that.
Well, let me kind of rephrase this a little bit. I mean, we came out of 2 years of high COLA environments. I mean, it was greater than 6, 7, 8%. So those are the dollars we used to make our offers for salary increases. That's the only way that goes away is if the state determines they have a deficit and can't pay us. The bad thing though is it's now only growing. It's growing less than what our cost increase is, if that makes sense. So we didn't give more than we could afford. I mean, we had committed to the board that we would maintain a positive certification with our salary agreements, and we have. It's just that in the COLA environment at 3, 4, 5, 6%, it would give us more flexibility than what we currently have.
But the projected COLA here over the next few years is not very much. So if we only have an increase of 1.5, we're gonna get in trouble when it comes to negotiations.
You can't sustain that for a long period of
Yeah.
time. But we had a healthy ending fund balance, and we knew that what we were negotiating, we had the dollars to fully fund that, and it's represented here in this financial report.
My concern is moving forward.
Sure.
Yeah, and something to just consider what, because you've been on the board, this is the second year and you've seen these large COLAs. I've never seen that. I think I saw that only one time in my 30 years. So a normal COLA is between 2 and 3. So what you're seeing demonstrated there is more aligned with what you're going to see moving forward for however many years.
Trustee Brown.
Just a simple question. The, the January budget estimates from the governor, do we know about what date those will come out?
I believe it's January 10th, or is somewhere around January 10th is.
So it's
hit
fairly
the
early in the
requirement,
month.
But yes, it's early in January. And
Okay.
it'll probably be, we'll probably get leaks before that, but I think it's by January 10th, if I'm not mistaken, is when the governor has to release it.
So will we see those numbers in anything that we hear at the January board meeting?
I believe it may be on our January board agenda if we have that in time, but definitely at the February workshop as well. But we do schedule either a January, February board meeting, depending on timing, and when we get the information to share that, to give a summary with the board about that.
Thank you.
All right. Any further comments, questions? Is there a motion to approve the first interim financial report for 24-25 with and a positive financial certification? Moved by Trustee Brown, seconded by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor of that approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. All right. Here we go. Mr. Henderson, credentialing time. Here we go.
All right, I thought you'd never ask. Good evening, Board President Maestas and trustees, Dr. Noguchi and cabinet members. Right to it. Item B8 recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the assignment of teachers outside of their credentialed academic major or minor. We present this resolution for certificated staff who are credentialed in one area but assigned a course in an area for which they're not credentialed. We've reviewed it though. She has the appropriate credits on her transcript in order to teach the course she's being assigned. So she qualifies under the authorization granted through the resolution. We recommend the board approve the item.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? Any comments from the board? My first day, I would have felt robbed if I didn't have Mr. Henderson have an approval for a resolution. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution number 2425-27, authorizing assignment of teachers outside the credential area in accordance with Education Code 44263, 44256, and ... We got a motion by Trustee Marks, seconded by Trustee Irvin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes unanimously. Any items to be placed on future board agendas? All right. Then do I hear a motion to adjourn? Moved by Vice President Mejia, seconded by Trustee Daly. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the meeting is adjourned.